One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Well, thank you so much for everything you've done for our country. We do love you very much.
Thank you.
And as a pastor, but just as a person, right? And even if I wasn't a Christian, and I know not everyone here is a Christian, but I think there's quite a few of you here and who are. Either way, we love all people. That's not the issue. The issue is fairness, what you're talking about. The issue being just, and the justice being a weapon instead of lawfare, instead of actually just, and all this corruption you're talking about. And that's a bad spirit, if you want to say it that way, putting it nicely. It's something evil that has come against our country, our morals, our families, etc. And then you and the president and others getting attacked with this outrage and this hate. So if you would, allow me to pray.
Thank you.
If you'd all who want to, please join me, bow our heads and pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we are thankful for our country. We are thankful that God does bless America, and that God is the source of all goodness, love, and provision. And that you, Lord God, have provided a great nation with a great history. And although we've gone through many rough times, you're still very present and active with us. Thank you for protecting President Trump from that fatal attack. And we ask that you envelop and protect all of those who are fighting for justice, for freedom, for order, for dignity, and to reward people according to merit, and especially put your hedge of protection around Elon Musk, around his children, around his whole entire family, and all of his team members, that all would do good and just by our country, and freedom truly and justice would reign once again. We ask this in the name of the blessed Savior, Jesus Christ, who we remember during this time of year, who suffered and died for our sins. May you wash away all that is wrong with our country and start with us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry? Up to you. You can hang out if you want. Well, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. It's, I think we're going to need divine protection, frankly.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? But I mean, it's also the truth. We always need divine intervention. But even now with what's going on across this country, craziness. So I've got an amazing, I feel it is an amazing show to bring to you today. I have, after seeing what happened over the weekend, the news and everything else, and then this talk with Elon Musk, Trump and Elon are both securely over the target at this point. There can be no doubt anymore why we're seeing the craziness that's happening, why they're going after Pete Hegseth, why they're going after Elon, and of course why they're going after Trump is because we are watching the de-evolution of the deep state, including the Democrat Party and the media as well. They've got nothing. I've said it many times before, but now things are being revealed. Many of us went to church yesterday. I found it so interesting that the sermon yesterday that we went to was about let those with ears hear, let those with eyes see. You cannot look away from this stuff. Call it biblical if you want. You cannot look away from what's being shown to you, what's being said to you. If you're anybody with a functioning frontal lobe, you can see we are at the precipice of something really bad happening because something really good is trying to happen. What I'm going to show you over the next 45 minutes or so, if you haven't seen it, I've broken down a bunch of Elon's speech yesterday in Wisconsin. I've tried to cut it so that there wasn't a whole lot of ums and uhs, but just tried to get it to you best as I possibly can. And also, I urge you to go look at the entire 90-minute speech. There was a whole bunch of Q&A with people from the audience, the prayer you just heard. I'm like, this is amazing. We are seeing revival in America, and it's happening right before our eyes. You can't look away. And at the same time, you can see the demonic, satanic Democrats just absolutely flailing with nothing, absolutely nothing. So I'm going to cover that. I'm going to jump into that in a second. Those of you who have been watching my clip videos, if you haven't seen them, I clipped some of the video from the show so you guys can then go watch them later so you don't have to watch the entirety of a 3-hour broadcast. So thank you. We're going to be building that up as well. Secondly, in about 22 minutes, I've got Chris Josephs coming on, which ties greatly into what we're going to be talking about this afternoon in regards to some of the stuff that Elon's been finding. Chris Joseph is the guy who put together the Pelosi tracker, who's been showing how she's been using insider trading to make millions. So we got him coming on at 12:30. Then at 1 o'clock, President Trump is signing some executive orders. I doubt it's going to be live, but when they do the broadcast, if we're still on during the daytime show, I'll cover it. If not, I'll cover it in the nighttime show. And the last thing, bit of housekeeping I want to say before I continue, is it has been brought to my attention that once you start building up any kind of size of an audience, people try to scam people who are in that audience. Let me just make sure, and I've made sure this the entire time I've been doing this show, just so I could differentiate myself from the scamsters. There was somebody in here, we got rid of that person, and now there's somebody on X trying to impersonate me, which is scary, because I don't think nobody would want 2 or 3 of me walking around. But in any event, I will never ask you for money. I will never ask you for any personal information. In fact, most of the time, and those of you guys who follow me on X, I am very, very judicious in my commentary because I don't want people to think that, they're being misled. I'll like something, But if you see me, there's two little things on my profile so that you know it's me that's actually doing something. And it won't be that way from anybody who's impersonating me. So I'm going to show you something on my profile. This is my profile on X. That's me. And if you scroll down, you're going to see something. And imposters won't be able to do this. You're going to see, one, a blue check. And that blue check people can buy, but I don't think imposters are going to do that. And the other thing you see right here is a fanfare badge. Now, maybe somebody can try and fake and duplicate that. I don't know. But both those, you're going to see a blue check and a fanfare badge. So I'm trying to show people as much as possible that it's actually me. The other thing is I've got nearly 62,000 followers, so it's kind of hard for a scumbag to manufacture it. They're going to try. People have been telling me, hey, there's somebody impersonating you. No, they're not impersonating me. They are using my profile to scam you, so just be careful with that. That being said, let's jump into this video from Elon Musk. And one of the things I put in this video is that they are, both he and President Trump are securely over the target at this point. And we're going to listen to a good portion of this speech, and then we're going to take the time to talk about it as well. So let's get to it.
Really, the goal is very simple. It's to restore merit and freedom. So that's what it comes down to. So America is the land of freedom and opportunity. So we want to restore individual freedoms, freedom of speech, just in general, get the government off your back. And then make sure.
Would anybody be against that? I don't think so. Get the government out of your way. I've said many times in businesses I do, especially in real estate, I'm seeing Ron DeSantis doing everything he possibly can to get out of our way. Today he made a great speech about doing away with property taxes. This is a good message. That's not a bad thing.
That you succeed in the United States as a function of your hard work and your talent, and nothing else. As you may have seen with stuff that we've posted on the Doge.gov website and the Doge handle on the X platform, there is a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the federal government. Like, shocking, really. It's insane. Isn't it shocking how much violence and hatred is coming from the left? I mean, isn't it supposed to be the party that they claim to be the party of empathy? And yet they're burning Teslas and shooting up dealerships and calling for the death of the president and me. I'm like, guys, this is insane. Like, they're gone psycho. The legacy media is in part to blame for this, and maybe primarily to blame for this, because it's really terrible. It's like, if they keep calling, they've obviously called President Trump every name in the book. I think there was one article that called the president worse than Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin combined. And I'm like, actually, President Trump's not killed anyone. In fact, he's very good at stopping wars, not starting them. People understand, what the difference. Do they know what Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin did? It seems they don't. I mean, it's just indicative of the poor quality of education pushed by the National Department of Education. So, that's why we want to restore freedom to the states, let the states decide on the educational agenda and not have something pushed by a bunch of neo-Marxists in D.C.
He said so much in that, 30, 40 seconds. It's hard to unpack it all. One of the first things he said, he talked about the media and how the media is fueling all of this backlash and protest and everything else because there is no media. The media as we knew it, the big three, the ABCs, the CBS, the NBCs, and now coupled with CNN and MSNBC, that's not media anymore. It's government propaganda. Their entire job at this point is not to report, but to give opinion, to try and shape and influence the minds of insane people. They have been responsible for so much damage to the psyche of America at this point. They should be completely shut down by the FCC, in my opinion. They have fueled the transformer stuff. They have fueled the immigration insanity. They have fueled the fair share crap. they have fueled racism. And now they're fueling additional violence if the violence back during, St. George Floyd wasn't bad enough. It's just on to the next thing. In addition, and probably superlative to all of that, is what they purposely, intentionally did to President Trump. They fueled all of the impeachment. They fueled the lawsuits, the cases, the criminal cases. None of them reported actual news. None of them. And to this day, they continue just spewing crap. If you spend literally if you spend 10 minutes on any of those stations and you click on it, you're going to hear it very quickly, lie after lie after lie after lie. Because there is nothing else for them to talk about, because they won't talk about what's good for America. It's only what's good for the Democrats and the deep state, period. Some of them are even employed by the deep state, as you know. And in addition, like Elon just said, we're trying to educate people. And I'm talking about we who want to advocate for homeschooling and advocate for school choice, is because we know at this point the school system is nothing more than an indoctrination machine. And they're freaking out because that machine that they have spent decades putting together is now starting to be dismantled. And because that's starting to be dismantled, they are freaking out, whatever you want to say, because they know they need it. It is a vital cog in the Marxist, socialist, communist agenda. If they can start with kids, well, look what they're doing already. They're telling kids, 4 and 5, you don't have to be a boy or a girl. You can change. Just figure it out. You choose. So if they're starting in school telling kids that, just imagine all the other insane things they've told them over the term of their schooling. From the time they get in school at kindergarten, from the time they get out of college, they are being directed to be faithful soldiers of insanity. And it's only the ones who have strong parental backgrounds, who have great teachers and great coaches, that allow these kids to break free of this insanity. But yet, this is why they're clawing and scratching and doing everything they possibly can, including violence, to keep that hold on society, including their politicians.
But let me first hand out 2 $1 million checks in appreciation. Okay, so the first check goes to Nicholas Jacobs. All right. Now, I should say that the reason for the checks is that it's really just to get attention. It's like we need to get attention, and it's somewhat inevitably when I do these things, the sort of it causes the legacy media to kind of lose their minds, and then they'll run it on every news channel, and I'm like, I couldn't pay them it would cost like 10 times more.
See, having been in advertising, I know exactly what he's talking about. And it's almost like a train wreck or an accident. People can't look away. And the media can't look away because all they're going to try and do is say it's illegal and he's trying to buy an election. But by the same token, they're talking about it. I've mentioned it on this show many a times. Go look up the Streisand effect. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but the Streisand effect is basically you're trying to deflect and not talk about something by talking about it. And then when you talk about it, it causes people to look at it. And so he knows, hey, listen, I could advertise this and try to get more people to come out and vote in Wisconsin, which if you're in the area, vote in Wisconsin. Or I can give away, and that would cost me, if I advertise, was going to cost me, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 million dollars to do the ads, which nobody's going to watch because they're going to click and just move forward. Or I can give away $2 million and everybody's going to talk about it. It's going to be free. People are going to talk about it on social media. They're going to share it. And then the media is going to cover it because they're bat poop crazy and they think that's a bad thing. Meanwhile, it's like, whoa, he gave away $2 million just to people who showed up? Yep. See, there's nothing illegal about that. Nothing at all. It's not buying an election. A Democrat could have won it. Just show up. Sign a petition, and you could win $1 million. I mean, what's it called? Publishers Clearinghouse has been doing that for decades. hey, sign up for this magazine, you could win $250,000 a year for life. It's the same thing. The more that people talk about it, the less you have to advertise. That whole groundswell around what's happening in Wisconsin allows him to do this at a fraction of the price. He probably learned that from none other than President Trump. Hey, listen, I can go say this, and even if they don't like me, they're going to cover it. This was before he became president. And indeed, the media caught on and said, okay, we're not going to cover his speech. And they would tell their audience, we're not going to cover Trump's speech, which is the Streisand effect in essence. Hey, we're not going to cover this speech. What speech? The one that Trump is making right now. Oh, he's making a speech? Yeah, but we're not going to cover it. All right, let me go find a station that's got it. Let me look it up on YouTube, because you just told me he's giving a speech, and you just told me you're not covering it. So why the hell am I here? Let me go watch it on YouTube or something. Let me go find Barry's channel. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on there. Let me go on Right Side Broadcasting, because you are in living persona the Streisand effect. If you weren't going to cover it, just shut up and don't cover it. But you covered it. But then you got, it's stupidity.
It's to get the kind of coverage that we get. So, all right, you can just, I guess, take it if you want. I think we'll get you a real one too. Second one is to Ekaterina, hopefully here. So, well, and like I said, this is just helpful for getting attention, and then it's kind of fun to see the legacy media lose their minds over it too. So, love you too. So, yeah. So, let's see. Hello. Thank you. Congratulations. And there were quite a few death threats, I have to tell you.
As AI continues to get smarter, won't it inevitably see through its creators' propaganda?
Yes.
I kept a couple of these Q&A things in here because they're interesting questions that you're not hearing on the news. Because one of the things we've always said about the news is they don't cover the news Americans actually want to hear. So it's interesting when you're at an event and I'm like, okay, what's this guy have to say? What's your question? Hey man, so is AI going to be better than the influence that they put on from the mindset of the person who's programming it? And Elon, the guy who just arguably created one of the biggest AI companies out there, XAI, you get to talk to the billionaire, trillionaire, or soon to be trillionaire, and ask him. No funny expert on television, not some guy who's never even used AI, the guy who developed AI.
The question is, as AI gets smarter, will it see through its creators' propaganda? I hope so. I think you can sort of think of an AI as it is somewhat nurtured by its creator. So you have to say, what is the operating principle? What is the North Star of the AI? If it's a somewhat corporate AI, it could be like it's just trying to make corporations happy, or it could be, if it's particularly some of the AIs that are trained in like the city of San Francisco, it's going to have kind of a San Francisco bias to it. Because you can think of like smart people as well, there are big differences in sort of beliefs among smart people. And so you can expect that there will be big differences in beliefs among AIs as well. With Grok, our aspiration is a maximally truth-seeking AI, which is like you always want to try to get as close to the truth as possible, even if the truth is unpopular. And that's our goal, which I think is a very important goal. Hey, nice shirt.
All right, so what you just heard there, him describing how Grok is being developed, being as close to the truth as humanly possible. Not developing its own will, understanding that here's the information that we have. Let's go ahead and just push it in here, and all the algorithmic stuff behind it and the coding. How can I say this? So many people I speak to are afraid of AI. They're not really sure. It sounds like something out of a HAL or something that's going to not let you eat something. The AI that's being developed right now has tremendous use cases. You can do so much with it. I don't think that AI is meant to be something that you can rely on to say, what candidate should I vote for? That kind of stuff could be problematic, because why? It's opinion. But I do think AI, and I've used it myself extensively. In fact, you use AI extensively. You're like, Barry, how do you know I use AI? Because you have a cell phone. You have one of these. And everything you do, hey, how do I get to grandma's house? What's the best way to get there? And it's going to tell you the best route. Or you may say, what's the most gas efficient way to get to Chicago? Or you may, whatever question you're asking that you don't know, something is telling you the answer. Where do you think that thing found the answer? When I'm out of town, I'm an AI junkie. Hey, show me the best Chinese restaurant. Show me the best Thai food in the area. Show me something with at least 4 or 5 stars. Show me something where somebody makes the best, pad Thai. And it's going to go and it's going to find you the answer. So understanding information isn't bad, but it also may not be something you agree with. And that's where the left has more problems than people on the right. What's the difference between a man and a woman? Well, like he said, a San Francisco-based AI may come back and go, nothing. They are the same. And then in fact, that's how you can test certain AI. So there's no difference between a man and a woman? Nope, not whatsoever. Thank you, I'll never use you again. It's insane. But people don't realize how it's being interwoven into our lives on a daily basis. And much of it, the overwhelming part of it, is incredibly good. Like, for instance, show me the best stock to look at in regards to the response to President Trump's tariffs. That usually takes you a week to look up, or at least a phone call to a broker who doesn't really know as much as you do anyway. Now you can come back with charts, you can come back with profit and earning reports, all kinds of things like, okay, I think I'll go with this one. What's the downside if I went with XYZ Steel or whatever? You're going to have, there's so much information that you can garner at this point, and that you can compare, and that you can then begin to make credible decisions. Don't be afraid of AI. Learn how to use it. It is your friend. It can benefit you. How many calories do I need to expend today to realistically lose 5 pounds if I eat this muffin? So much you can do with it.
First of all, path of exile for life. But more importantly, as we see the whole world has turned to a fear-based mobilization effort. And we've seen that translate into violence. And the right's not immune to it because it can hit anybody's psychology. Sure. How do we beat that with optimism? Because that's going to be crucial to avoid mass eruption of conflict.
Yeah, I mean, there does seem to be... you're right that the right is not immune from sort of hate and violence. It's not like nothing, but it does seem weirdly heavily weighted towards the left. I mean, like, I haven't seen anyone tearing off like a Biden-Harris hat. Like, we're just like, you feel a bit sorry for them, like, oh, maybe they're wrong there, you know. But you see people tearing off MAGA hats. And someone just, I saw a video just today where somebody was just on an escalator, a woman was on an escalator wearing a MAGA hat, and someone going the other direction tore the hat off her head. And I'm like, what? That's rude, in fact, I sort of find myself in the strange position because I didn't think of myself as right. I thought of myself as centrist. But then the left went all the other way in the other direction, and now everyone's a Nazi, before you know it. And I'm like, wait a second, do you know what that means? Obviously not. So, but yeah, I mean, I think, I believe in peaceful discourse, and that, we make arguments, verbal arguments, and the people decide which way they want to go. But we don't engage in sort of shouting people down or violence or burning things or shooting things. That's how democracy is supposed to work. It's peaceful discourse.
My question is about...
Okay, before you get to that next question. So, I love the question. I love the guy who asked the question. I loved his look and everything else. It tells me he's not a diehard MAGA person. He wants to talk to Elon and get some information from him. He's like, can optimism fix a lot of this? Yes, optimism is contagious. The more positive you are, the more you smile, the more happy you are, that is contagious. The left, they just seem to be angry all the time. They just never seem to get out of this perpetual protest mode. Everything is bad. And that's because of what the media has done to them and what they believe in. They believe in stuff that doesn't make people happy. Just imagine that. Nothing that they promote, nothing that they advocate for actually makes the masses happy. Nobody wants to pay more taxes. Little, if any, amount of people, this many people want to see boys and girls sports, or the nuclear version of changing their anatomy and having things lopped off. Very, very, very few people want that. It's a negative connotation. Even the ones who have had it aren't happy people. There are so many of them, we have seen them do crazy, crazy stuff. Why? If it made you happy, if all of a sudden you lopped off your junk and Sam became Susie, you should be happy. You should be Julie Andrews floating around the Alps kind of happy. But they're not. They're not. Even the ones who have money, they're not happy. Why is that? Maybe you've gone down a path that was sold to you, that you think everybody needs to be as unhappy as you are. You know, again, I went to church yesterday, and it was just interesting. There were a couple baptisms, and people were clapping, and I'm sure you did the same thing. And then, you know, you go to the store or somebody, and you see some people, and like, what's wrong, man? How is life so bad that you want to go key a car? Just think about that. What gets inside of your soul that wakes you up in the morning and says, you know what, I'm going to go out there and key me some Teslas? The nuts that would have a field day down here, Teslas are like Toyotas. They're everywhere. I must drive by 2 or 3 Cybertrucks every couple miles. It ain't happening. None of that stuff is happening here. Why? Because most of us here love life. Most of us aren't walking around in doldrums. I went to go see the movie finally last night, The Working Man. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was so violent. So although the subject matter, I like the fact that the human trafficker guy got what was coming to him. I'm just telling you right now, it's extremely, I mean, it's like John Wick violent. But people in the movie theater, I was surprised how many people, you know, were Christians sitting in the movie theater, and it gave us the opportunity to clap for violence because the bad guy was getting bad things done to him. But people were having, there's a theater here called iPick. It serves food and drinks and everything else, and people were enjoying themselves. After the movie let out, people were walking around the mall, an outdoor facility here in Boca. Optimism, happiness. We're seeing it come back with Trump, and these people are angry. Wow, we might pay less taxes. Yeah, that bothers you? We might be more prosperous. That bothers you? You have to think to yourself, why does it bother you that people will be more prosperous? Why does it bother you that government is getting out of the way of people? Why does it bother you that people can go to church? Why does it bother you? I mean, you have to think all these questions. Why does it bother somebody that people are enjoying life? I don't know how many people actually think about that. This guy, when he asked that optimism question, it really got to me because I'm thinking, yeah, why aren't more people optimistic? Think about people you work with, people in your family. Why are they upset? A lot of it's the media. A lot of it's Democrat politicians. You heard, I don't know if you saw the video, but I just thought it was insane, was Jasmine Crockett went on Breakfast Club, and she said that Byron Donalds was skin folk, but he's not kinfolk, whatever that means. And the reason why he wasn't kinfolk is because he went off and married a white woman. I guess I'm not kinfolk because there's one sitting right out there. But as she said that, and it pissed a whole bunch of people off, one of the interesting things about it is this is the same woman who supported Kamala Harris. And maybe she's never seen Kamala Harris's husband, because Byron Donalds married to a white person, and so was Kamala Harris. But for you or me to do it, or for Byron Donalds to do it, it's really bad. Why are you walking around angry? Why are you lashing out at people as they're walking through the halls? Why? Why aren't you happy? Ask a Democrat that sometime. Ask them why they're not happy. And a lot will be revealed at that point. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to go to a quick commercial about gold, which is really doing well. And then we're going to bring on Chris Joseph to talk about stock trading, and it all kind of fits together where Elon goes here in his next message. And those of you who aren't in a position to buy gold, or those of you who aren't in a position to buy stock, understand this isn't meant to turn you off. It's just to give you information. As you know, President Trump has assembled the Avengers to make America great again. And of course, we're all excited and ready to see them get to work. But with everything we're seeing right now, don't take your eye off the ball. Things could get much worse before they get better. With the possibility of World War III still looming, and with the Democrats doing everything they can to impede Trump, you still need to keep your guard up and your money protected. Oh, and our national debt is still massively increasing. Don't get me wrong, I have high hopes for Trump's America, but I also have a family to look out for. You see, Trump and the Avengers have quite the uphill battle ahead. That's why I'm making sure I'm protected, and I'm recommending that you do the same. One way to be protected is by diversifying your portfolio. That's why on this channel I've been happy to partner with Lear Capital. As you know, I've been involved in real estate for quite some time. And although I dabbled in gold and silver, Kevin and his staff at Lear have helped to educate me even further, especially in regards to silver. Give Lear a call today and they'll show you how easy it is to move some of your savings or your retirement account into gold and silver. Gold and silver have been proven to hold value and protect wealth for the long term. Call Lear today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com to get your free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There's no obligation, just free information. Many of you have seen my interviews with Lear founder Kevin Demerit, and I can tell you this company is solid and likes to educate their customers. Just so you know, Lear has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $3 billion in trusted transactions, and is the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. And when you call, don't forget to ask how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. So if you'd like to take advantage of this opportunity, please call my friends at Lear Capital at 800-601-5430 and tell them Barry sent you. All right, so I'm about to bring Chris Josephs on. This is Chris's Twitter X header. It's at chrisjjosephs.com. He's a co-founder of Join Autopilot, which he will explain, and he runs the Pelosi Tracker. The Pelosi Tracker is an amazing site. It says highlighting political trades so we can invest all alongside of them without getting banned. And 500 million invested on Join Autopilot so far. So one thing I want to tell you about this, all right? I'm not telling you you have to go invest, but this information that Chris is going to provide you is also, kind of informative and somewhat entertaining as well. So let me bring on Chris and make sure that everything's connected. Chris, can you hear me?
I can.
All right.
How you doing, Barry?
Good, man. How you doing? So Chris, you got to tell me. Number one, are you a stockbroker, or how did you get into this?
Just like every other retail investor, I'm 29 now. I started at 22, 23, trading in my Robinhood, liked picking stocks, had my 401k, had those passive investments on the side. But I always just loved individually stock picking and trading stocks that kind of aligned with my values. Things like, Tesla at the time, Square was a big one that I bought a lot. But over time, when I started realizing the politicians were trading, it's like, why don't I just do what they do and start tracking some of the things that they do? They probably know things that I don't. I don't have time to really actively invest in the market anymore. Let me kind of create a way to make active investing simpler. And that's kind of what we've done.
So how much did you start with?
When I was 23, oh my God, $500.
Okay, great.
Not a lot. I think I started out the same way a lot of people do. And it's harder now because inflation, people's buying powers. It's tougher to get started in the stock market. But the other truth is, it's never been more important to get started in the stock market. So starting with $500 is great. You can set up the recurring investments, but over time I've added more and I've gotten more into kind of the longer term picks instead of the swing trading and having to sell out to cover my credit card bill at the end of the month when I was like 25. So it's gotten easier.
So how did you, I understand the motivation behind it because you wanted to see what these people were doing, but how did you start the Pelosi tracker?
Yeah, so the long story short, it's been a while. So like with Autopilot, our startup, just to kind of set the stage, it's an app that allows you to take your stock portfolio and then automatically follow someone else's portfolio. So instead of you making the stock decisions, you can just follow what they do. And our mission is to democratize access to the world's best investors. Because we think the majority of people need to invest in the stock market. It's just really hard, time consuming, and daunting to do. Let's create an easier way to do it. Now, where does the Pelosi tracker come in? Marketing and just the sheer ridiculousness, hypocrisy that they were allowed to do it. So when we were thinking about how do we market the product, we were watching on social media that these politicians were not only trading, they were making a lot of money.
Right.
So when we started the portfolios, we created the Pelosi portfolio on the app. And then we started making the Pelosi tracker, the TikToks, the Instagrams, highlighting the trades that these politicians are making. And then it turned into not only Pelosi, Dan Crenshaw, it's a pretty bipartisan issue. But the Pelosi tracker started because people were asking us to track her trades and they wanted to actually invest in it too. And our product was a way to do that.
Now, how did you find her handle? I mean, is she doing it in her personal name? Does she have an LLC? How did you find these people's handles?
Yeah, great question. So a little bit of information on how it all works. This is all per the Stock Act. And in 2009 was when politicians actually had to actively report and share their trades, which is crazy because before that, it was the wild, wild west. They could do whatever they want. They didn't have to publicly disclose anything. I know, it's insane. But so after 2009, they now have to report their trades up to 45 days after they make those trades.
Okay.
So we have the technology and we just kind of track the filings. Every morning I go, I check it out. I see anything that's suspicious. I tweet about it. If Pelosi makes a trade, that's kind of like those big days because we got $350 million following her. So like her most recent trades, if you remember, she bought 5 or 6 different stocks back on January 20th. That's when she reported it. So that's when we kind of kick into gear and we start highlighting it. We start talking about those trades and we start tracking them from there. But they lawfully have to disclose all their trades.
Why is it 45 days? Seems like by the time you get the information, 45, she's already made her money and gotten out of that position, or does a lot of the stuff she holds it for a longer time?
Yeah, so to answer your first part, why is it 45 days? I have researched and tried to figure it out. I have no idea why they have a delay. I think that it's so really obvious. Like they should report the same day. This 2025. We're pretty technologically advanced to be able to do that. Right. So I don't know why there's a 45-day delay. But with regards to does it affect the performance and whatnot, Pelosi and a lot of the other politicians we see actually they hold for the long run. So Nancy Pelosi in particular, she buys leap options. So she's not only buying underlying stock, but she buys in the money leap options that expire a year later. And for the most part, she holds those leap options until the end of expiration. And then she buys those shares and holds that as an actual position. So there has not been a world where Nancy Pelosi has bought and sold it in a month or a month and a half. So the delay hasn't affected it too much.
Can you define what a leap option for people who may not know that?
Yep. So there's kind of like three different probably buckets. One is like buying the actual shares. So that's kind of what probably the majority of us do. Two, there's buying call options, which are in the money and out of the money. And in the money leap option means if the stock price is $100 and they're buying an option at around like a $60-$70 strike price, that means they are in the money and then they're holding it, for the long run to not necessarily swing and kind of sell quickly. It is a little bit technical. But the easiest kind of way to think about it is it's ways to invest in an asset with less capital and higher risk.
Right.
So higher risk, higher reward. It gives you the ability to buy the same amount of risk at a fraction of the price, kind of thing.
Is that similar to short selling a stock?
Similar-ish. Short selling is probably like that is when you take the shares and you sell them to someone else and then expect to buy them back kind of later on. It's similar-ish to buying puts on a stock where you are making a bet that the stock price is $100. You're making a bet that in 6 months it's going to be $90. So I'm going to buy a put option on that where you expect the stock to go down and then you could sell that put. It is a bit complex, but again, the simplest, easiest way to think about it, and this is what is actually insane when you think about the hypocrisy of it, is she's buying these things with millions of dollars.
Right.
Like this is not $100,000. This is $1 million plus on the majority of these trades. And they are high risk call options. She's not just buying shares. She's buying things that can expire worthless if they don't go her way, which is essentially a more leveraged bet.
Right.
The easiest way to think about it.
Since you've been tracking her, how many times has she lost?
Not too many. So we launched the product in 2023. That's when we allowed people to invest alongside her. Since we've been tracking that portfolio, and this, Barry, is with the delay.
Right.
Her portfolio is up around 120%. It's gone great. We've done well. But to be fair, the whole market's up. So, she's not as up this year. What stocks has she lost on? Not too many. The one that she lost the majority of her money on, well, it's funny. It's not even the majority of her money. It's only 100K. Is she lost on Roblox in 2022.
Okay.
She lost on NVIDIA shares in 2022, and then she rebought at the end of 2023 into 2024, and she made millions on it. But no, there's not too many instances where she has lost a lot. She is down right now on her Vistra trade. So she bought, I think, $1 million of call options at the beginning of the year, and the market's been down, so she's down on that. But she buys and holds, so she's like a good investor. She does not get emotionally selling out at the bottom. She holds these things, and she reaps the results.
Is she going through a broker? She's not doing it herself. She's not trading on E-Trade or something. She's probably going through somebody, right?
I think so. So we've reached out. We've tried to see. There's not too much information out there on how it works, but it is her husband. Her husband is a tech and trader, I think, and I think he runs his own either whether it's a VC fund, private equity fund, or hedge fund. I don't know which one it is, but it is her husband making the trades, and he probably has his own set of instruments that someone like you and I probably don't have, just because he's managing hundreds of millions.
So one of the things that's interesting, and I wanted people to know, this isn't a discretionary thing. It's both sides. It's the Democrats and Republicans both taking advantage of this, correct?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. So if you go look at our Twitter, that thing has 1 million followers. On our Instagram, we have 1 million followers. We are very, very, very balanced in the sense of we don't necessarily mean to be bad. We just call out what we see. And for example, this morning, I'm writing up a tweet now. The new Pennsylvania senator, I believe, Daniel McCormick. Yeah, McCormick. We called him. We're about to call him out because he bought Bitcoin and he sits on the Senate Banking Committee. And it's is that a conflict of interest? I don't know, but it still is shady, and it's still something that our bigger mission and our bigger kind of reality is. These politicians should not be trading in the stock market. It creates distrust. It's bad optics. Whether they're insider trading or not, it doesn't matter. You can't get stuck in the weeds. They should not be able to buy Bitcoin while sitting on these committees while someone at JP Morgan can't do it, and he's a low-level analyst. It's hypocritical, and it isn't right. Us calling them out is doing our way to try and get them banned, bring some more attention, bring some more eyeballs to the movement. And then autopilot, what we did was we realized there's no better way to highlight the hypocrisy than to literally have money doing what they're doing, where it's like kind of, if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing. And that has brought a lot of success to our kind of mission as well, because a lot of people have been able to put some money behind kind of what they believe in. And Pelosi is on our app. We got Dan Crenshaw on our app. We have Mark Wayne Mullen. We have Tommy Tuberville. We have Josh Gottenheimer. We have a pretty balanced stack of Republicans and Democrats.
Wow, that's very, very interesting. Which means that they're probably never going to do a law to stop it because they're both taking advantage of it. I mean, Congress isn't going to vote against itself. It seems like one of the things they always agree on 100%. When they give themselves a raise, it's always 100-0. They don't have any dissenters from that. So let me ask you a pointed question with what's going on right now. Who is or isn't manipulating Tesla stock right now?
Yeah, Tesla's been tricky because Tesla gets interesting for two reasons. One, he's close with Trump. You cannot deny that. He even just the optics of potential conflicts of interest. You can't get away with it, away from that narrative because of just how close he is with Doge. With regards to who's buying and selling it, we are seeing a pretty increased activity around Tesla. Marjorie Taylor Greene is buying Tesla. Nancy Pelosi used to own Tesla. She sold Tesla actually back in 2024, so she's out of it for the most part. But are we seeing any kind of actual manipulation? I don't necessarily know, but what I do know is Tim Walz is rooting against them, which is a sad reality. If you saw that video, probably I think 2 weeks ago, he made that little kind of comic sketch. I don't know what it was. Yeah. And he's like, I get joy out of going into my stock act and I see Tesla down 10%. And it's like, man, Tesla is employs tens of thousands of Americans. Tesla is in the majority of people's 401ks. It makes up 3% of the S&P 500. You rooting for the downfall of that is just bad, sad, and just shouldn't be allowed. And, we called that out on social media. But the stock is up 30% since then. So it's nice to see a bump on that. But that's kind of like the narrative that we're seeing around Tesla. And it is a very vocal and highly engaged topic of conversation right now.
So with your presence and with what you're doing, you're probably making some enemies out there. Has anyone SEC-wise or anything else tried to come after you guys?
No, not for that. We are a registered advisor, are a registered investment advisor with the SEC. So we have a working relationship with them. They know who we are. We have to do that mainly also because it's good for our end clients. We are managing, $500 million of AUM. So we work with the SEC. To their credit, they have not come after us for any of the politics stuff. No politician. I think all these politicians are trying to stay away from it. They're trying to not necessarily bring attention to it. But one thing though that is interesting is some of the mainstream media companies. We had interviews set up to talk about our mission, to talk about our movement, and some of them have canceled last minute, I think, because they see like, oh, you're calling out Nancy Pelosi. Do we really want to do that? Oh, technically it's not Nancy Pelosi. It's her husband. Is that right or wrong to say? So we haven't seen much backlash from the politicians or the SEC, but we have seen some backlash a little bit from the media, which is interesting.
Of course,
to know.
Yeah, I would expect that. I mean, the media is it's their orcs. They send them out to do their dirty work for them. But they have to be careful because but they have to be careful because I'm sure there's a bunch of them trading as well. I mean, when you get the Rachel Maddows of the world making $20 million and Brett Baer making $20 million, they're doing something, so they have to be very careful and tread lightly. Because as soon as they come after you, you're like, oh, by the way, you just bought this. And that would be kind of scary. So tell me more about Autopilot.
Yep. So we're excited kind of with this product. Our bigger mission is not necessarily to kind of yes, we want to get the politicians banned from trading. That is the start. But our bigger, broader mission is we are trying to bring trust and transparency back into the stock market and into the broader money management system. We believe that people should have their money and invest in the future that they want, and their dollars should align with their values. Right now, there's a lot of, car salesmen, sleazy things going on in the wealth management industry. If I were to give you $500,000 and I would say, hey, Barry, how are you going to manage this? You either are going to kind of like say, do I manage it on my own? Do I Google the first financial advisor and click on the top one? Do I kind of phone a friend and see how they do it? There is no transparent marketplace to just find and trust a money manager. And I think that's by design, because these money managers are not incentivized to provide more transparency, provide more trust, provide more clarity. They just want to get your dollars and then not give it back. So what we are trying to do with Autopilot is redefine that and bring trust and transparency in a convenient way to everyone's kind of investment decisions. Now, how do we do that? Autopilot right now, like the simplest, easiest way to think about it is like we have built an easy way to take your Robinhood, take your Webull, take your Fidelity, and follow Nancy Pelosi. What we are doing now, though, is we are allowing anyone in these kind of higher quality creators, people that we bet, people from X that have been doing it for years, to go onto our platform and launch their own funds. Okay. So if, we got a dividend investor, he's got 100,000 followers on Twitter, we're telling him, it's like, why don't you launch a fund on Autopilot? We'll provide kind of growth, because we get a ton of inbound traffic from social media of people asking like, hey, I want to invest in dividend stocks. I don't know where to start. Can I just have you do it for me? We will say no, but we have this guy on the app who is a dividend investor. You could see his performance, you can see who he is, and you can have some like clarity into kind of how he's doing it. Why don't you put some money and invest alongside him? And the beauty of it is that now everyday individual investor that is stressed out, that doesn't want to make the decisions, is kind of overwhelmed with the broader emotions of investing, now can offload all of that burden onto this pilot. And then you obviously pay them a fee to have that kind of responsibility, but everyone's happy with it, because the dividend investor, he's just sharing his own personal picks. It's his portfolio. He's getting paid now to provide clarity and transparency and trust to the masses who don't want to make those decisions and don't know where to start. And at the end of the day, now you got a creator that's happy, and you got an individual investor that has more access and exposure to the broader stock market, which is good for him.
And unlike a lot of brokers, you actually see he's got or she have money in what they're talking about. It's not like, hey, go over there and buy this, and I'm recommending it, but you actually see they have a position themselves, which is really, really pretty cool.
Yes.
Did it take you a lot of development knowledge to put all this together? I mean, before you got into stocks and all this stuff, you went to college, obviously. What were you trained at?
I personally was trained in finance. I went to Villanova University, got a finance degree. So I kind of understood not only the stock market, but I think more importantly, like the importance of the stock market. If you take away the adjusted returns after inflation, the stock market hasn't really gone up that much. But with inflation, the thing has gone up. So it's a way to protect yourself from the 2% in the last 2 years, the 10% rates of inflation. What were we doing beforehand, though? So I teamed up. I'm not technical. I teamed up with my co-founders, Brian, Aaron, and Scott, and they built out the app. I did the growth and kind of the marketing and the branding a little bit. And we raised some venture capital money. We have some great investors to help build out this broader vision. And that's kind of how we've been doing it. We've been working on it for 4 years. Autopilot is out. It's been out for 2 years. We have $500 million of AUM, which is kind of fast and exciting. But we have a lot of work to do to kind of keep bringing access of these high world-class investors to the broader public. That's kind of what we're going to be trying to do over the next 6 to 12 months.
And you said, you're 29, you said? Is that what you said earlier?
I'm 29, yeah. I started it when I was 25.
How old are your other partners?
All late 20s, early 30s. Okay, so I think two are 30, 31.
Let me tell you why I'm saying that. Because when I'm talking to people in my audience here and they're chatting, they're watching things, I often tell them, start. Do something. Do it now. Get your kids involved, your grandkids. Show them that there is something you could, I'm sitting here amazed. You're 29. I think to myself, when I started buying real estate, I would have loved to start at that age and start going through all the different processes and learning. So if somebody wanted to start today and they're older, could they look at something that's either I guess, two ways: safe, and then some people would like risky, and ironclad. How do they know where to go so that they can go depending upon their own financial position? Some people may say, "Hey, listen, I got 10 grand and I can't afford to really lose too much." What would you tell them to do? And if they said, "Yeah, I got 10 grand and I want to see speculative what I could do," how can they use autopilot to figure that out? That's long-winded.
Yep, No. I think what you're essentially getting at is how do you start, and then how do you make sure you're making the right decision for you personally with what you're doing. We are big believers in this. We believe in the barbell approach to investing. You should not have all your money actively investing in these risky Robinhood, Palantirs, stocks like that. You should have some active money, but a lot of it could be in the passive ETFs, dividend stocks, the S&P 500, the QQQ, things of that nature. Autopilot solved exactly this complex issue because on our platform, we have access and we have different options that are suited to that individual person's environment and what they want. So if you want to come in and you want to say, hey, I want to invest in the risky stuff, we have high risk portfolios, high risk creators that you can choose, and you can say, all right, this guy is actively investing. The fluctuations on his performance are high, but that's kind of what he's investing for. Versus if you want someone that passive income, it's like, I want to have a 5% yield in dividends every month. You invest in this dividend portfolio, that guy is managing that, and you are reaping the benefits, and you're seeing the dividend payments coming through on a monthly basis because you are investing in that strategy. If you want to go the beginner route, we have a creator that we're going to be launching soon. She is doing like pure beginner portfolios where, hey, everyone, you don't even know where to start. You don't know the emotion. You don't understand how the stock market necessarily works, but you have to do it. Use this portfolio. It's built for that. It's great. And it'll allow you to do it. And again, like the reason of just getting started, it's so important. So like if I were to kind of recreate and redesign, I said my girlfriend actively invests in the stock market now. It's great. Before she wasn't doing it. And what I essentially said to her is like, create the portfolio, choose the portfolio, or create the broker, choose the portfolio you want on autopilot that you're comfortable with, and then set up recurring investments, put in $500 every month. You're 27. You don't need this money actively. And over time, that $500 getting invested will be how you go from 10,000 to 20,000 to 50,000 to 100,000. The compound interest that happens in the stock market is probably one of the more powerful things in the world. The problem is people don't experience it. They don't see that happening. And that, I think, is why a lot of people don't really get started early. And more importantly, probably they get started early, but they don't see the benefits after 5 to 10 years and they give up because they didn't see that compounding interest. The recurring investments is a very important piece.
And one of the things is, obviously, this is kind of stuff I would tell my grandson. They're not teaching this in school. You're not going to go to class and learn how to promulgate wealth over a period of time. I mean, he's 16. His birthday is tomorrow. So I've told my daughter I'm going to get him some gold. I'm going to get him some silver, buy a couple of stocks, let him see, watch what's going on. And again, by the time he's your age, maybe he'll never have to work again. That's my idea is like set you up so by the time you're 25 or 30, you get married, you're done. At that point, you're just managing things and making money on your money. So I absolutely love it. It's something that really intrigues me is because I was talking earlier about some of the stuff that Elon was saying in his speech yesterday and how people are perpetually angry on the left. And I don't know why. And I just love the fact that I didn't know you. So just let you guys know, I didn't know Chris. Ashley set up the meeting, and he gets on. He's got a baseball hat like me, and he's a young guy. And I'm like, oh my God, this is it.
Look at my room. It's like
I'm like, this is it. A young guy who's out there just doing it and working in his room. So Chris, again, so you're going to tell people to go to Chris Joseph's, or would you like people to check out Autopilot?
So Chris J. Joseph's on Twitter and Instagram. That's kind of where we post a lot of our stuff. We went on the Tucker Carlson podcast probably like a month ago, which was really cool because we were able to share more about our broader mission and also the hypocrisy of the political stock trading. So that would be a great first step of how do people get to know me. And again, like we're in the business of trust. With Autopilot, we are not trying to tell you you're going to make $1 million in a week. You aren't. You just are not.
You're right.
But what we will help you on is getting you on the journey and the path towards kind of more success. And I love what you're saying, even too, like the world is angry, the world is depressed because that's what we consume, and we don't have that excitement.
Yeah.
I think once you start investing in the stock market and you see the money going up and down, you see a future that you want, and this is the vehicle to help you get there. Getting started is just so important. But I share a lot about that on the Tucker Carlson podcast. Check that out. And then also on Twitter, you can also kind of follow our main accounts, which is Join Autopilot across the board on Twitter, Instagram.
I got to ask you, did you go to Tucker's studio at his house? I mean, did you guys meet in another studio?
We went to one of his I don't know. It wasn't his house, but we went to one of the studios that he has.
That's awesome.
It was cool. It was a cool experience. Yeah, he and credit to him. I mean, I know he's a polarizing figure, whether you're right, whether you're left, like it doesn't matter. He was the first person that gave us a long form platform to share who we are and what we do.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
He was the first one. Even with the Pelosi tracker, even with all the news, he was the first one to give us that platform. So it was awesome.
I'll tell you what, if Tucker Carlson extended the arm to you, I am so I'm honored that you decided to come on here. That's awesome. And I will have to, is that video posted on, let me just check real quick. It's on your
it's on YouTube. The full one is on YouTube.
Okay.
I think it's probably like an hour 15. It's a quick listen because also the cool thing, Barry, is we get deep into the weeds on the politics of like the actual trading and the corruption. So it's a good listen because also halfway through we then get into the broader idea of why are they not allowed to do it? How does autopilot help solve it? Things of that nature. So
let me ask you a question before you go. Is this what you're talking about? I'm looking at. Let me put this up. You'll be able to see it on the screen. It must be one of the creators. High Yield Harry is now live on autopilot, designed with the intent to deliver strong returns with a unique strategic edge, market-leading blue chips, private credit growth, high yield diversification, and his 3 portfolios. Is that what you're talking about? Some of the creators, that he's one of them?
Yeah, and we are trying to democratize access to the world's best investors. He comes from the world of credit. He is an expert in credit. That was his entire company. That was his entire job in the past. He created these strategies because he knows and he has insights into like how these companies work. And that's like where you go in and you invest alongside the expertise, the experience, the whatever of that one creator. And again, like we have more and more creators that we're going to be launching with.
They'll see a lot of people from the real estate world. I know exactly who this guy, Michael Burry, stock trader, and so you're actually following at this point Michael Burry. Michael Burry, unless I got the name wrong, this is the guy who was featured in The Big Short, correctly?
Correct.
Yeah. So as soon as I just saw that, I'm like, wait a minute, he's following Michael Burry. Michael Burry, if you have seen the movie The Big Short, you understand he played what's his name? Who is the actor? Christian Bale. Christian Bale played him in the movie. So, wow. I'm going to dig in all over your site here, man. Ashley said, you got to talk to this guy. I'm like, all right, I'll talk to him. Wow, that's fantastic. I appreciate it. All right, autopilot.
No, thank you for having us.
Oh man, have you back as we see some more of these things. And I'm sure there's some people are going to have a whole lot of questions because it's something new and everything else. So thank you very, very much for your time. And I'll watch that Tucker video as well.
Great, awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
All right, guys. That's Chris Josephs, and amazing. I didn't even know he was following Michael Burr as well. Again, if you want to get to his page, I'm on autopilot right now. Autopilot is here. Join autopilot, and Nancy Pelosi's tracker right there, which is pretty interesting. So you guys can dig into that. Sometimes people think I'm doing commercials. That's not a commercial. That was an actual interview. I'm not selling anything, not buying anything. I like to bring educational information to you. And one of the reasons why, I looked at this and saw Chris was 29 and I got excited because so many people get to a point in their life when they feel like there's nothing to look forward to. And I love how he defined it. the other guy said optimism on Elon's video. He said enthusiasm. If you don't have enthusiasm, if there's not something that you wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm excited about what I'm going to be doing today. I mean, I feel that when I'm out looking at buying houses. It was funny, over the weekend somebody had sent me an email and said, as a realtor, what do you think about this? I'm like, I ain't a realtor. I ain't never been a realtor. The wife, she's been a realtor for 20-something years. I'm not a realtor. I use real estate like Chris uses stocks. I look at real estate in certain areas and same way people who buy stocks. I look at the charts, what's moving, what's not moving, who wants this, what do they want to do, what's the upside, if I have to hold it, what are we looking at for a return? And I got excited in real estate decades ago, and to this day, when I look at a property, I get excited. Robin will tell you, I still get excited at my age looking at a deal. And it's funny because a couple weeks ago, we went to look at a deal a couple doors down from where we live. And I walked in and we looked, we toured the property. And after we walked out, she's like, what do you think? I'm like, that's money. And so we made an offer, and the people, I guess they got offended. They never called back, but I don't care. You know why? There's always another deal. There's always something, and if you stay strict to your requirements, don't let somebody talk you into something. Nope, here's what I'm willing to offer. If I can get this property at this price, we're going to make some money. You don't want this price? There's somebody else out there who's going to take it. There's somebody else who's going to get a deal from me. And so I always stay within my parameters. So if you're going to buy stock, stay within your parameters. You're going to buy gold or silver, stay within your parameters, things that you've learned over time. And if you stay in those parameters, you're going to find out the long-term success that you're going to have. Have I missed? Yeah. Has there been things outside of this that I maybe was available to me that I didn't take and I lost the opportunity? Sure. But my thing at this point is different than I was when I was 20 years ago. And that's why I love talking to guys like Chris, because right now I am pretty much risk adverse. 15 years ago, I took a shot on anything. As long as I had more ups than downs, I was happy. Now I'm in a different part of my life. Grandkids, daughter, wife, less risk, more stability. So I just hope you guys learned something from that. I hope people didn't get ticked off, because there's some people out there who just don't want to hear about wealth. Don't want to hear about making money. My video yesterday I put out is about President Trump and these tariffs. We're going to get into that in a little while. But prosperity is not a bad word. The left has turned it into a bad word. If you're thinking, well, I don't want to hear about this, I'm on a fixed income, and come on, man, or woman, wake up. You're in a exciting time. Be enthused. Wake up in the morning and go, damn, this is great. I just learned something. Maybe I can get together with somebody else and we can put 500 in this month. And maybe next month we can put in 1,000 or nothing. Just be enthused about getting up in the morning. I'll be right back and we'll continue with Elon's great speech.
back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I'm about to change my hat now, put on a different hat. Actually, it's the same hat, but I'm going to change gears here. Just want to give a couple comments that I've seen here. I'm capitalistic to the bone, all for making money if you did it honestly and did not hurt anyone making your money. You do realize every time somebody wins, somebody loses. See, that comment is a self-limiting comment. If you're worried that someone else is going to be hurt, how do you define hurt? If I buy a house and I'm able to save $50,000 or $75,000 on it, and the other person was hoping to make an additional $50,000 or $75,000 on it, you could conceivably say they were hurt. You can conceivably say if I buy someone's house and they're in foreclosure and they got to move out, but I'm going to make a profit, you could possibly say somebody got hurt. You see, there is not a single deal I've ever been in, ever, in terms of every property I've ever purchased, where somebody didn't win and somebody didn't lose. Because the deal happened that way. Unless, of course, you put up a house for sale at $500 and somebody's willing to pay $500, then that means everybody walks away from the table and they're happy. But that usually is involving a retail sale. Barry, what's a retail sale? A retail sale is when someone's just moving in to live in. And so they're not really looking to make any money. If you see me knocking on your door, you know I'm coming to make money. I don't really care about anything else about the property. Doesn't care that little Susie grew up in here and Bobby was this high when he was swinging on a fence. I don't care. It is strictly numbers. And for the most part, just so you know this, someone's usually calling me. You see, I'm usually the fireman. Hey man, I'm in foreclosure. I don't want this big F on my credit report for the next 10 years. Can you help me out? And I want you to take away that most of the time when someone's making money, somebody's conceivably losing money. So if you're putting on it nobody should get hurt, you're limiting yourself. There are going to be people like Chris mentioned, Nancy Pelosi had to sell the stock at a loss. She lost money. Somebody bought that stock. She got hurt. Luckily she can absorb the hurt. But most of the time when you're investing, somebody's getting hurt. It's just defining what that hurt is. Don't let that be a self-limiting thing to you. I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm a vulture. Yeah, but you know what? You're calling me. You're calling the vulture. A lot of people used to say to me, oh, you're a bottom feeder, but I eat well. Oh, you're a bottom feeder. Uh-huh. Yep. You can say that. I'm the one people call when they have no other options. Either you're going to get foreclosed and your stuff's going to get thrown out in the street, or you call somebody like me. Either way, I don't care. And I live happily, and I have fun because I know I didn't put those people in that situation. I'm helping them get out of it. So in that regards, if you want to be successful, you need to be around people who are successful. Yep, absolutely. The tariffs are coming, and yes, we want to hear about creating wealth, but you know it takes money to make money. Another one of those self-limiting beliefs. I'm telling you right now, you're saying things to people, and you're some mantra you've heard, and it's BS. Complete BS. First house I ever bought, and I've said this story many times. Guy said to me, hey, I'll pay you if you go find this deal. Oh, okay. So I got my car. Didn't have any money invested. Hey, Bill, guy's name was Bill. Bill, I found this house on this street. Would you be interested in it? Go tie it up. Tie it up means get a contract. How am I going to get a contract? I don't have money to buy it. You got $500? Yeah. Put out a $500 deposit. They're not going to take it. Well, that's your job. Go out there and talk them into taking it. Okay. They took a deposit. I assigned the contract to him. Boom, here, they want $100,000. Bill, I got an assignment, gave it to him. Bill gave me $5,000 just for finding the deal. Takes money to make money? It's bullshit. I'm just going to say that with leaving the expletive right there. Takes money to make money? No, not at all. Not at all. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, but you actually tried. You go for it. And Pistol Pete, in business, there's always another deal. Keeping to remember, otherwise it's disappointing. Yep. Don't get married to a number. That's the answer for that. Do not get married to a number. That's all it means. I remember Ashley called me. Hey, did you get that deal? Nope, they didn't call me back. You upset? Nope, not at all. Not at all. But anyway, so somebody had asked, are you going to get to the massive fraud? Yeah, we're going to get to the massive fraud. I had an interview scheduled, had to take that interview. Excuse me. And now I'm going to go forward. Hope to be dispelling that truth. What am I doing is creating something with nothing. Yeah, it can be done. Too many people have told too many other people what they can and can't do. And too many people believe that stuff. Hey, you can't do that without doing this. Imagine if you were never told that. Imagine if you went to college and you weren't told what you think is true right now. Imagine if you met somebody like Chris in a nightclub or something. Hey, man, hey, you got a Rolex on. You look like you're about 29. You got like hair. You're a rock star or something? Nope. What do you do? I followed Nancy Pelosi stocks and made money. What? Yeah, that's what I did. And who are your partners? Oh, these other 28-year-old guys. Yeah. Nobody told us we couldn't, so we didn't know. See, that's the best knowledge ever for anybody. If nobody tells you you can't, then you don't know that you can't. You got people in here commenting, oh, you can't do this yet. Who told you that? Think back to where you first heard that. Because whoever told you that, I don't care if it was 20 years ago, they lied to you and it caused you to lose. I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to get off. Let's get back to Elon.
USAID. Has the Doge team found any evidence that any of the radical left Democrats like Maxine Waters, Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer have received money directly from USAID? And if so, will we be hearing about that evidence anytime soon?
Yeah.
All right. So this is where I had to give you the appetizer to get into this part because we're talking money and financing. Now you're about to hear why I titled this is the biggest, massive, most biggest ever fraud on America. And for the next few minutes, you're going to hear about this massive, massive fraud and why you're seeing the Democrats go absolutely butt crazy. They've been found out, they've been revealed, and even the people in the media who are covering for them eventually are going to have to turn on this.
So there is a massive amount of corruption, but it is circuitous. So what happens is there's money that, obviously it's your taxpayer money, that is then sent to various government organizations who then send it to NGOs, which an NGO is a non-governmental organization, but obviously if it's a government-funded non-governmental organization, it's just an organization, it's just a government. And effectively, there's a giant fraud loophole, which is that the government can send money to an NGO that is then no longer governed by the laws of the United States. So they'll send the money overseas to one NGO, then it'll go through a bunch of them, and then I'm highly confident that a bunch of that money then comes back to the United States and lands in the pockets of the people you just mentioned. But it is a circuitous route. It's not like it doesn't go directly, but let's just say that there's a lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress.
That's a good way of putting it. Strangely wealthy members of Congress. How the hell did they become strangely wealthy? They didn't build anything, they didn't produce anything, but somehow they're strangely wealthy. They're not Rockefellers, didn't have a big oil well or anything. They just showed up in Congress, got off a bus, and they're leaving in a Rolls Royce. How is that? Number one. And number two, how was it allowed to continue? Well, you just heard me talk to Chris Josephs, and both sides are scamming you. Now, the thing with the people on the right, they're finding money or getting money from someplace, and then they're jumping in. The people on the left are using NGOs to funnel your money back into their pocket. But either side is still making money.
Where I just can't, I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while how'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year? And it sounds, nobody can explain that. So something's.
So you have to wonder, don't the other people in Congress and Senate kind of do that same head scratching? Why does it take a billionaire from the outside and go, this doesn't make any sense? You make $175,000 a year, yet you're worth 20 million. And you haven't done anything. You come back and forth to the Capitol, have a couple meetings, and now you've done that for 10, 15 years. You're rich. How did that happen? And neither side cared to look. Nobody wanted to say, hey, I see what you're doing. I talked to these guys from Autopilot. I talked to Chris Joseph. I talked to this person. And we're tracking your trades and we're seeing what you're doing. How did you know that this defense contractor was going to get a new contract worth, I don't know, $500 million, and their stock would go perpendicularly up? How did you know? Oh, that's right, you were on the committee. You were on the committee. How did Marjorie Taylor Greene just decide she's going to buy a whole bunch of Tesla stock? What does she know that you don't know, serving on the Doge committee? Doge. What does she know? Now, what's really weird about it, the press doesn't talk about it, what do you think would happen if all of a sudden tomorrow, Donald Trump Jr., Laura Trump, the whole Trump family, all of a sudden they bought a whole bunch of stock in, I don't know, maybe a bomb-making company in Gaza? What would happen? The media would be all over it. Oh my God, he's using his presidential influence to make millions and billions and everything else. Oh, and you just saw it. Trump drove a Tesla and they freaked out. Drove it, bought one, freaked out. But yet every single day, one of these people in Congress is using your money to buy a Tesla stock. It's a scam. It's the royal scam.
Yeah, we're going to try to figure it out and certainly stop it from happening.
Most of us here are aware of social media censorship, and I know you're keenly aware of it. Thank you for turning around X. Awesome.
The very end of that last statement, we're going to stop it. You heard that. I forgot to hit the button. We're going to stop it. So who do you think right now is freaking out that he's going to stop all this NGO money traffic and money laundering? Yeah. Crooked politicians on both sides are now freaking out. And this guy is asking a question about censorship.
As censorship picks up in financial institutions, what can we do about that?
So are you referring to offering financial services by X?
No,
sorry.
Being kicked off of financial institutions for beliefs.
Yeah. Well, certainly that won't happen during the Trump administration. Hopefully that can be enshrined in law, which is part of the reason why we need a Republican Congress. So you didn't see any Republicans kicking Democrats out and debanking Democrats, but there were a lot of Republicans that were debanked, thousands, which is really outrageous. So I say it does seem kind of one-sided, this like trying to ruin people's lives and financially and violent protests overwhelmingly comes from the left these days. It's like, and whereas the right is polite, and fair as far as I can tell.
Hi, sorry. Thank you for being here.
Okay, this lady looks like she's maybe disabled, maybe handicapped. I'm not sure which word you're supposed to use these days. Definitely has some physical issues, but I love what she says right here.
Your comment kind of about the Matrix is kind of ironic because my husband and I watched the first Matrix and the sequel yesterday. My question is, when so much of social media nowadays, whether it be X or YouTube or whatever, is kind of curated to like a person's particular beliefs, or even where we have protesters that show up to town halls or potentially are paid. How does America kind of come together? And it used to be where you could have a conversation and have discourse like you discussed,
right,
and still be friends even if you disagreed with kind of some of their statements. When you talk about knocking on doors, like to different people's house, like one kind of fear that I have is like, even if you talk to somebody, everybody has their own sets of beliefs and their own truths. So I guess, how do you get through that?
Yeah, well.
All right, so what she said was very interesting. Earlier in the talk, he was talking about The Matrix, and this lady and her husband went home and watched it. They watched, she must have heard it in a different speech. They went home and watched the first and second movie back to back. They binged it. And I've mentioned The Matrix here many, many, many times on this show. It was originally a movie I looked at and went, well, that's pretty cool science fiction. And then it became a movie I'm like, oh my God, somebody was telling us. It was almost Q-ish. I'm like, oh, unplug, danger, danger, unplug. And then many people understood, as I've said many a times, take that red pill, wake up, understand what you're looking at, don't take the blue pill, wake up. And there's so many people over the last, 8-9 years who I've told this to, and they just want to keep that blue pill. They just want everything just to be the way it was. Just I don't want to deal with all this. And you let them be. I have family members. Hey, you want some of this? You want this one? Oh, I'm just gonna stay in my comfy world and not know what's really going on. And I realized I can't be that person for people. Hey, listen, I can't enable your ignorance. And so maybe we could talk about the game, or how's your daughter's bar mitzvah or something, bas mitzvah, whatever, really topical stuff. But I can't get into the weeds with you because you won't take the red pill. You refuse to look at what's really going on. And you guys may know people in your own family who you work with. La 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 la. I don't want to know. Don't want to know. You don't want to know? You don't want to get away, and you don't want to take that plug out of the back of your head and start digging in for yourself? You really just want to hang out on the surface? You don't want to go down the rabbit hole and see how deep this thing goes? You don't want to know about JFK? You don't want to know about Martin Luther King? You don't want to know about RFK Jr. and all the other stuff that's happened and what, the different information we have that they've kept from you? Just think for a second. The mere fact, never mind all the information that, has been released, not been released, the mere fact that we've had to dance around JFK's killing for 60 years should tell you all you need to know. Why don't we know this? Why have we had to wait for 60 years? Why? That should tell you right now. It's a blue pill manifesto. Hey, we just go up here. You'll be okay. Forget about it. It's the men in black. Fry your brain. Don't want you to know. And many people got on with their lives. Hey, what happened? What really happened in 9/11? Oh, hold on. Nobody digs. It's over. Don't talk about it. Hey, what happened in Las Vegas with, the Jason Aldean concert and all these people? It just goes away. Why? If there wasn't a red pill opportunity, if there wasn't things for people to dig in with the red pill, why is it that stuff is all state? Why is there anything censorship? Why? Why can't we know what happened? Do you ever ask yourself that question? Why is it you have to wait for information? National security. You killed a president, and we don't know what happened. And then fast forward to July 13th, you shot at another president. You guys know anything about that one? Nope. How about the guy that was crawling around in the bushes in the West Palm Beach golf course? Nope. What? So we got a whole media that doesn't want to talk about the stuff that actually matters, that people are interested in? How did this happen? How did that happen? I don't know. Well, the only way you're going to find out, because your media's not going to tell you, is you better bet your butt and get that red pill and dig. Dig. You know, there was a guy everyone calls a loon out there. Alex Jones. Why? Because he was the only one digging. Maybe some of the stuff he said was wrong, but at least he was trying to get to the source. Laura Loomer, hey, she's crazy, but she's trying to get to the source. Well, she wouldn't have to do what she does, and Alex Jones wouldn't have to do what he does if the media would just do their job. But people like this woman, they're seeing it now. They're seeing like, hey man, I went home and watched this movie and like light bulbs went off. So what do I do next?
I think what we saw there for quite a while was that all of the legacy media and all of the new social media were in lockstep together. And they were all parroting the same left-wing talking points. And they were suppressing any dissent and any so-called right-wing or frankly even centrist views. And with that's why I felt it was critical to acquire Twitter, now X, in order to enable that dialogue. So it's certainly a step in the right direction, and I think you've seen now, once X was willing to break ranks and not censor Republicans, then you saw others also start to move in that direction. You know, it looks like, for example, Facebook and Meta, they have certainly, Mark Zuckerberg has stated that they will be doing a sort of community notes based on the community notes of the X platform.
Have you ever thought to yourself why there needs to be community notes? I have, because I thought to myself, you know what? Aren't there a whole lot of people in the media right now? Yeah. Why wouldn't this media outlet, Fox, CNN, I don't know, MSNBC, or a combination of them put together a council and they would hire, 500 people. And it's the council of verification. I'm not talking about the disinformation stuff. I'm just talking about, hey, saw this post by Barry. Is he telling the truth or is he lying? Can we score it? With a collective group of Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Collective, not just one nut job. Can we just have them look at it and score it? Well, it's funny. It's because it seems like Snopes, they were trying to do it, and then they got conflicted. And in Wikipedia, they got conflicted because every time somebody sets out to go, you know what, we don't need this, we can just, we'll look at it. You would think the media and their lack of newsrooms right now, oh my God, there's a business idea. We're going to get together and put a council. And this council is made up of 300 people, and it's 100 Democrats, 100 Republicans, and 100 independents. And they're going to look at things and score it. Completely bipartisan look at things. Why don't we have that? Why don't we have that? Again, it's a red pill moment.
And as opposed to having sort of far left censorship bureau, the sort of, the woke Stasi essentially reviewing things. So that's a step in the right direction. There's maybe some hope for the CNNs of the world. There's like, with Scott being on there, he's great. He's like, I'm sort of hopeful that things that are moving in the direction where different points of view are espoused on or heard on legacy media and social media. So I guess maybe I'm actually a little bit optimistic about the future. On the X platform, we don't prioritize one side or the other. We try to be as fair as possible, and I will reply to prominent Democrats even if they sort of say terrible things about me. It's like, yeah, we should have this discourse.
All right, so that's our utopia, being able to talk to each other and understand if you are a crazy Democrat, let me talk to you. Have a perspective I'd like to engage with you on. But as I've mentioned to you many times, they can't. As soon as you call them on their BS, it devolves very quickly into an argument. All right, so you made it this far. Now you're going to get the payoff. Here is why everything is falling apart for the Democrats. Here's why everything is falling apart for the media. And it's all due to what you're going to hear in the next 15 minutes or so. And you probably won't hear much of it in today's news because they don't want to keep this stuff out there. It is up to you now to talk about this.
In this process, one of the things that we've discovered, which is, I think, on the fraud side, which is a really big deal, is that the Democrat administration, the Biden administration, has basically taken every arm of the U.S. government and bent it towards creating a financial incentive for illegal immigrants to come to the United States. Now, this is every part of the government. So like Social Security, Medicaid, unemployment insurance, disability, even the IRS. So you can like fill out a fake tax return and say you need a tax, maybe I shouldn't tell people this, but it'll actually work. I mean, mostly. There's some chance you'll get caught, but if you fill out a fake tax return, you can just get a tax refund even though if you didn't pay taxes. So we're trying to stop all these things, to say like, okay, well, let's stop the waste and fraud, and we also need to turn off the massive financial incentive for illegals to come to the United States and stay in the United States. And this is really the thing that is causing the Democrats to lose their mind, because they're actually spending, at this point, tens of billions to attract and retain illegals in the United States. It's really on that scale. It's a gigantic number. And the goal is to turn all the swing states blue. That means Wisconsin. So that's the goal. So with the asylum program, if they can get a green card within a year, and then they can get citizenship as quickly as 4 years after getting a green card. Because the first year of being an asylum counts for the 5-year citizenship waiting period. So this is a very big deal.
All right, so before he brings out this guy he's bringing out, you need to understand what he just said there. I'm not saying you don't. Somebody got mad because I pointed out that woman's disability who asked the question. I wasn't pointing out her disability because I was trying to offend anybody. What I'm saying is we're seeing a big awakening. People that you wouldn't have thought. By her own admission. I watched The Matrix back to back. Something woke her up. She was able to do whatever she needed to do to begin waking up and seeing what's going on. And so what he's going to reveal here and what he's trying to introduce at this point is, quote, a massive fraud, and they were looking to take over America. I've said to you many times, we're in a civil war. This is going to prove it. No muskets were shot, no cannon fodder. This was what they were going to do to America, and America would never have known what happened. There would have been a one-party rule, and that was it. And if you're seeing what's happening in France right now, you can see whoa, stop it. Excuse me. Midas, come here. Come here. We were this close away from them doing it here in America. This close. All right, just take a listen. It's crazy.
A number of friends of mine have actually joined the government and in order to help with this process. And I'd like to welcome my friend Antonio Gracias to the stage.
All right, so before he goes, I want to show you who this guy is. This guy, his name is Antonio Gracias. And the reason why this is important, because somebody's going to say, Barry, why'd you need to show this? The reason this is important is because the media has been trying to portray everybody that Elon Musk has been working with as some wet behind the ear college kid. You know, big balls, all that kind of stuff. They kept saying it over and over again. And you saw during his interview with Brett Baer, these are captains of industry. These are billionaires. So here's another guy who wasn't on that show, but nonetheless, this is Antonio Gracias. I want you to know who he is before you start hearing him talk. Antonio Gracias is worth $2.2 billion. Not quite as rich as Elon Musk, but nonetheless, none of us would have a problem if we had $2.2 billion. Antonio Gracias is the founder and CEO of Chicago-based growth equity firm Valor Equity Partners, which has $16 billion in gross assets. In 1995, Gracias was in law school at the University of Chicago, where he founded Valor's predecessor, or predecessor, MG Capital. A major Musk loyalist, Gracias met Musk through a mutual friend around 2000. Valor became one of Tesla's first institutional investors, and much of Gracias' wealth comes from his shares of Tesla. He's known for operationally involved investing, even sleeping on Tesla's factory floor to work through manufacturing and supply chain issues. So this is a guy who's made his money, and he's been successful because he's not looking at things from afar. He rolls up his sleeve and digs into things, completely contrary to what the media has been telling you. The media has been telling you it's all a bunch of, young college kids and all this, and it's nothing of the sort. Doge is comprised of some seriously heavy hitter businessmen. And so what he says here, it blows the doors off the left.
Antonio, can you tell us what you, Antonio is helping out with the Social Security. So just trying to review Social Security, where you may have heard that we found 20 million dead people marked as alive in the Social Security database. This is so crazy. And then you'll notice there's a strange trend here where how many Social Security numbers were issued? Do you want to?
Yeah. So let me tell you what happened here. We started at the top of the system.
You want to talk about a lot of maybe?
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff that we're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. This country's been great to us. My brother and sister all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America. And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed us in this direction. I want to honor them right now. That work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number.
It leaves you without words that it took somebody like Elon Musk and Antonio here to be digging into these things, and they were directed by people at Social Security like, hey man, you might want to take a look at this. What? We've told people, but they won't listen. Take a look at this file. And they dug in, and oh my God, heads exploded with this data. This right now, this section here, which I'm not going to interrupt anymore. I want you to hear the entirety of this section and let it sink in. And go ahead and put a mark down. It's at the 1 hour and 47 minute mark, so you can go back to it and refer to it. This is the end of the Democrat Party. The media won't discuss it. No one's going to talk about it. You're going to have to talk about it. I will clip this and I'll put it out again, but it is mind-blowing what they had planned for us.
This is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid, and they'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview, then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border. They do what's called a release from your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, notice to appear, which is to appear to judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people, okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you got asylum through one of these pathways, and we mapped the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview. No ID.
This is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep. No. They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself, I'm not sure I'd have believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it, and Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all of the benefit programs have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through, on every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people, in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why. Right. And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered to vote in this population.
Matt, are you pissed off yet? Are you pissed off that you've been paying for your country to be invaded and taken over? The Democrat apparatus is evil to the core. They wanted to take down America from within, and this deep state manipulation that took place with your money would never have been found. That's why these people are freaking out. That's why they're doing everything they possibly can to take down President Trump. It's because of this. This is why they're protesting in the street and shooting and burning and all this crazy stuff. This is why they want to take down Pete Hegseth. Oh, Barry, how does this relate to Pete Hegseth? Because what I'm seeing right now, and I'm going to say it, what I'm seeing right now and what I'm seeing with the judges is if this stuff isn't fixed, the military is the only way. They know it. When I say they, the Democrats know that the only way this really gets fixed, I'm talking about the fraud in Social Security, the fraud in Medicaid, the politicians, the judges, the crazy judiciary, the military is the only way. Barry, you sound psycho. Oh, really? What do you think's going to change this? You think that all of a sudden the Supreme Court's going to step in? You have that pipe dream? That all these judges are going to be taken out? Remember, that you're seeing these judges because it's Trump stuff that they're ruling on. How many other different cases have they ruled on over the course of the last, 5 or 6 years that you never heard of? How are we going to fix all this? You have a guy here who obviously a legal immigrant family who's shook to the core. This guy's worth billions of dollars. Like, what in the hell is this? They were going to turn this into a communist, Marxist, socialist, some sort of society, and there would have been nothing you could have done about it if President Trump didn't win. So now they know you know. So yeah, now this is where it gets dangerous. Now they know you know. And because they know you know, what do you think's going to happen? Tonight's show at 7 o'clock, I got some stuff that Mark Levin and Victor Davis Hanson were talking about last night that'll curl your hair. But now you can see what the plan was. But they're not done yet.
Population, yes.
And who did vote?
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already. That is already happening. Right now. Yeah. And the truly disturbing thing, though, I just want you to know this, a truly disturbing thing to me, and the darkest thing about this to me, the voter fraud is terrible, but the human tragedy this created is extraordinary, because what you don't understand, and people don't know, and Americans need to know, that's why I'm here, is that human traffickers made $13 to $15 billion off of this, okay? That's the money that's going around the world, moving people around the world to our borders because of these incentives.
Bingo. That's the part I wanted you to hear, and that's the part you'll never hear on the news. This was just one incestuous pigsty, political, communist, trafficking, festering boil wrapped up in one. And the worst part about it is you were paying, well, no, that's not the worst part, because what happened to the kids is the worst part. But another bad part is that you were paying for it. Your money has been paying for the entirety of this scheme. So you tell me, how are we going to fix decades of this crap without having the military involved? There's kids going all over the world that you're financing. And now they have newcomers with social securities that they can vote so that you can never stop it. We're even having this conversation, and the only reason this conversation is happening because Elon's in Wisconsin trying to save a judicial appointment seat. Imagine that, with everything you know, with everything these people are saying, there's still a possibility that we will lose that judicial seat in Wisconsin. How can that be possible? Well, there's only one way it can be possible. They're stealing it. They're still doing it. They're never going to quit. How are you going to have to make them quit? Military.
Does it work? What happens? Hey, if you're in Africa and you're in Central America, you got to walk up through Mexico, through Central America. Who do you pay? You pay the narcos, you pay the traffickers, right? And we were told by ICE, it's between $20,000 and $500, depends where they pick you up, to walk across all those countries and get all the way up to the border. Where's that money goes? It goes to the cartels. It goes to human traffickers, right? There are 30,000 children that have not appeared on the notice to appear already. ICE knows this. 30,000 children, 270,000 children didn't even get notices to appear. ICE told us that kids are being trafficked back and forth across the border to complete families to make this easier. This is a human tragedy. It's not just the money, it's the people and the kids. And how many of these people died on the way up here that didn't make it in? What happened to them? We created a system here that created a incentive for people to come and be taken advantage of by these traffickers. And how do you think they get paid? Well, you're in Africa, Central America, you got $20,000 or $10,000 or $5,000 to pay these traffickers? No, you don't. What happens? You come in, then you owe them the money. You're an indentured servant. If you don't pay them, what happens? What do? They kill your mother, they kill your brother, they kill your family. What happens next? That's what we discovered. And I have to tell you, it's tragic to me. The tragedy, the human tragedy this created is extraordinary. That's the real problem. This is America. We don't do this here in America.
Yeah, we do. We shouldn't be, but obviously that's what they're doing. That's what the Democrats and probably some Republicans have been doing. It just makes your skin crawl to think that all of this, the fake votes, the trafficking, the money laundering, where did we lose our way? How did we lose our way as a country so badly that all of this happened? And I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, and I asked Robin, did you see any of this on the news? Nope, not a word. And I'm talking about Fox. I know it's not on MSNBC, CNN, ABC. No. And so Elon holds this meeting here. So if you guys wanted to rebuke it, let's have some discussion on rebuking it. Oh, no. Can't rebuke it because people would hear it. And if people hear it, then what do we do? What do we do when people hear what's been going on? We have to make them think like Elon's the second coming of the devil. That Trump, he did this and he did that. We have to let people say we need to burn Teslas. We can't let this stuff get out there. It will cause too many people to ask questions. This is a red pill cornucopia. This is a giant vat of red pills. If people would only listen, I didn't say believe. If they would only listen, and if you listen, it's going to cause you to ask questions. Like, really? Is this really happening? How is this? Why? Who? How? What? When? That's what we need. when people talk about revival, that's the kind of revival I think we need. I need some God-centered questioning. I need people to go, wait a second, wait, hold up, Antonio and Elon. Can you back up for a second? How the hell is this happening? Who put this network together? How is it funded? How long has it been going on? Who are the people in charge? Questions any reporter should be asking. Not a word. Not a single word. It's on your shoulders. You are going to have to be out there redlining red pill. Give me more red pill stuff, please. Not asking you to believe Elon. I'm not asking you to believe Antonio. I'm asking you to start asking some questions. I want you to be Jack Webb here, from the FBI show. Hey, we need to talk. Is this true? How can we figure it out? Just don't ignore it. That's what the media is doing. Take your red pill daily, because this is what we need you for.
We don't do this here in America. People come here legally, and that's great. Elon came here legally. My parents came here legally. That's the way to do it. This is outrageous.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, you can see, because there's still actually a lot of people out there, especially in the sort of center third of the country, that somehow think this is made up by the right, or it's like some fiction. It's not, that is somehow not true, but it is absolutely true. And you can see that if you look at things like the state of New York, which tried to make it legal for illegal immigrants to vote in the state of New York. That was only shut down by the New York Supreme Court a few weeks ago. And California has made it health care available to all illegals in the state. And they initially claimed that it would only cost $3 billion. It's now $9 billion and climbing. So it's really, if you create a massive financial incentive for people to come to the United States illegally, then that's what they will do. It's a very sort of, it'd be strange, it'd be odd if that didn't happen. So the thing that actually has the Democrats losing their mind by far, the real reason for these attacks and sort of the burning of the cars and everything is that we're going to turn off the payments to illegals. As Antonio mentioned,
and there you go. You see, if the payments get turned off, if they're able to crank down the money, the whole thing collapses. Everything. That now you're seeing why these people are freaking out the way they do. They don't give a crap about Elon and big balls and all this stuff. They now know that they are close to having the spigots turned off. And when the money stops, a lot of people are going to be pissed off. A lot of people are going to take some action, because we're talking billions. Like I said, we've probably been funding small countries. We've probably been funding big countries. Who knows how much money of yours has flown into other countries' coffers? Wars were probably manifested to create more money. And now we're having this ripped off the scales ripped off of our eyes and whatever was over our ears, and we're hearing this stuff and going, it sounds way too much to believe, except it is true. So many people now are seeing this stuff for the first time, but they're seeing it in such a grandiose scale, it's hard to digest. And then there's other people who just won't look. Somebody said earlier it was broadcast live on YouTube, and Fox News carried a lot of it, but they didn't talk about it because they didn't know what was coming. And so because they didn't know what was coming, they're like, hey, should we break in? No, just let this go. It'll be on once. Nobody will see it. Nobody will hear about it. That's why I break in. Some people got mad, Barry, you talk through this, because I try to explain it as well. Not just to sit back here and go, hit the button, let it go. No, because I'm trying to motivate you to get in the game. The same thing I was talking to Chris Josephs about stock, and I talked to you about real estate. Somebody actually put in here, somebody actually wrote, am I too old to buy stocks at 69? I'm like, who told you were too old? You're watching this video. You either have a computer or a phone. If you got a couple $100, no, you're not too old. everything, all the stuff that we've been told as kids and indoctrinated in college, you're finding out right now, it's like, oh, none of this shit's true. Even RFK Jr., hey, we're going to change this, you're not going to be able to eat this, not going to be, and people are like, huh? What? I can't drink soda. Why? It's killing you. Then why are we advertising for it? Exactly. Everything in our lives has been one big flipping lie except for one. And right now, that's the biggest red pill many people need to take. I think y'all are going to agree with me. That's probably the one red pill that many, many, many people need to take, because now if you're not praying, can't help you.
The time frame for going from asylum to citizen is roughly 5 years.
Yep.
And so all of the people that came in on that chart that you saw, if the machine behind the Kamala puppet had won, then, they change out the puppet, but it's the same machine, then they would have actually legalized all those people, and there would be no swing states.
And they added more. Remember, it was doubling every year.
Yes.
It went from 1 million to 2 million.
It was going ballistic.
It was going ballistic. And it is just, these people are just entering the benefit programs now, by the way.
Right.
We're seeing the ramp happen too. And these are just the ones that are in the system. This doesn't count the other, 7.5, 8 million that ICE thinks are out there.
Yeah.
We don't know if they have numbers. The number is totally uncontrolled. The voter ID requirement in this state is super important because of this.
Yes.
Because the Social Security number, it's not supposed to be a federal ID number, but it basically is. That's how you access all the benefits. This is why we need voter ID, because this thing is not secure. You could walk into a Social Security office today as an adult in America, and get a Social Security number enumerated with simply answering 6 or 7 simple questions and showing some forms of ID that are not federal ID.
Well, you can just actually make it up. You can show basically like a fake utility bill, or you can
show a medical bill and a school ID.
Yeah,
yes.
Medical bill and a school ID, and you can get a Social Security number.
Yes.
And then from there you get on the voter rolls, and then basically Dem operatives will farm the vote.
Yes.
The problem with this obviously is that if you turn the swing states blue, then there are no swing states, and then we're in a permanent one-party system. And as soon as they win that, they'll have the House, the Senate, the presidency. They'll pack the Supreme Court. Then they'll double down on the illegals, just like California. So, we've already seen this happen in California. California is supermajority Dem. So, but at least California is held back by the fact that people can move out of state. Once you can no longer leave America, they'll be far worse than California. So the gravity of the situation is severe.
Let's clean up Wisconsin voter roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's really simple stuff. Just having photo ID to vote is like, you can't buy something at the liquor store, but voting is more important than buying a beer. So
you're gonna need a real ID to get on an airplane. You can't board domestic flights.
Yeah, and the same people who are saying that there should be no voter ID at voting stations demanded vaccine ID from everyone.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's weird. So it's really about just restoring integrity to the voting system, which really should not be a right or left cause, but a cause for all. Do we not all want integrity in the voting system? Of course we do.
No, they don't. You could answer that question. Each one of you here could answer that question. Do they want integrity in the voting system? Of course not. Of course not. Otherwise, they'd be, what's the excuse they keep using? Oh, it's voter suppression. You don't want poor people and black people to vote. And the sad part is how many people still listen to that crap. Who are the poor people and black people who can't vote? Who are the poor people in black vote who can't get an ID? I will dispel that immediately. I would love for you to tell me, you know what? Show me this group of people who don't have an ID. And I will guarantee you, I will prove to you they will get one. You know what I would do? Just not that, I have to ask Elon to do it, but hey, Elon, offer $1 million for the first person who shows you their ID who didn't have ID yesterday. I bet you they go run and get ID. Hey, we're going to give out $5,000 to every single person who doesn't have an ID today who gets one tomorrow. As I've mentioned before, I say that a lot because I do mention things. I grew up with a guy who told me about the rule of 10,000. The rule of 10,000 is, what would you do and how would you get there and what time would you get there if somebody told you tomorrow I'm giving you a $10,000 check? What would you do? If you had no ID and somebody said tomorrow, bring me your ID, your government issued ID, and I will give you a $10,000 check. You can bet your sweet bippy that whoever that person was in any city, in any town across America, if they were just some poor person who didn't have an ID, they would show up with their ID to collect that $10,000. And I'm even talking about people who might be disabled. You're going to find a way. You're going to crawl over glass to get that $10,000 check. So the rule of 10,000 has always sat right here with me. If ever I feel not motivated, it just comes back to me and says, Barry, what would you be doing right now if tomorrow that was going to pay you $10,000? Let me get up and do this. Have you ever had that kind of motivation? What would you do? How would you feel? Would you do it differently? If you knew if you did this and completed it, you'd make $10,000 tomorrow? Almost every single one of you would be like, yeah, I'd get it done. Well, pretend it is. The rule of 10,000. Do your chores, do your task, do what you need to do as if you were going to make 10 grand from it, even if you're not. And so I know for a fact, I could go in the hood and go, you have an ID? No. Okay, so I'm going to meet you back here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I'm going to give you $10,000 if you have a state or government issued ID. And I get there at about 8:30 so I can see, oh, you're already here. You got here early. It's a lie. It's bamboozling. It's fake. It's fraudulent. There are no people out there who don't have or can't get government ID. It's a lie.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So.
All right,
So, well, you're welcome to hang out and see maybe some questions people. Let's see. We'll go.
Hi, Elon. I also am a teacher. I was a teacher in Colorado for 8 years, high school Spanish. But I moved here last year and got to vote in Wisconsin, where my vote actually mattered, and I'm so glad. That was amazing that we got Trump elected.
Yeah.
And I was listening to, I believe it was Patrick Bet-David. He called this perfectly, where he said, when Trump gets elected, he's going to go from enemy number one to Elon's going to be number one. And for the reason, I mean, he only has a couple years left, and we've all seen the left go after you and make you number one enemy. And just walking in here, we heard Nazis suck. There's all this horrible thing. And just on a serious note, I just want to let you know, my wife and I pray for you at night.
Thank you.
For your safety. And yeah, thank you.
I got to watch my hand gestures these days, you know. I think this one's safe, you know. You know, it's like, can't wave to the crowd. You don't know what'll happen.
And I've been a fan of yours for like a decade, and I've been a walking Tesla ad to anybody who talks to me, even though I never had a Tesla until I came to Wisconsin too, and it's 10 years old, but it's the best Model S I've ever had.
Thank you.
It's incredible.
Thank you.
But so if you didn't know, and like the guy did, if he didn't have a MAGA hat on, would you think that he was MAGA? You're looking at a young man. He's got earrings in both ears. Not that picture of MAGA that you would expect to see. And throughout this entire video, I think what you've been also seeing is that, number one, a lot of these people are young, they're enthused, and they're MAGA. And if they're not MAGA, at least they know they don't want to be the other side. So we're starting to hit the youth vote. The youth of America who are looking at this and going, no, I don't want this. I don't want this at all. And you're also seeing how big of an influence Elon was in that community as well.
I just wanted to to ask you if it would be okay. I brought my dad with me. He's a pastor, and I just thought if it's okay with you, I would love for him to say a prayer for you as well, for your protection.
Sure. Thank you.
Elon, well, thank you so much.
Now, I opened the show with this prayer, but I wanted to put it back in because some people may not have seen it 2 hours ago. And what you've heard thus far from Elon as he's talked about all this stuff, and from Antonio, and he talked about the trafficking and everything, we're going to listen to it again.
Much for everything you've done for our country. We do love you very much.
Thank you.
And as a pastor, but just as a person, right? And even if I wasn't a Christian, and I know not everyone here is a Christian, but I think there's quite a few of you here and who are. Either way, we love all people. That's not the issue. The issue is fairness, what you're talking about. The issue being just, and the justice being a weapon instead of lawfare, instead of actually just, and all this corruption you're talking about. And that's a bad spirit, if you want to say it that way, putting it nicely. It's something evil that has come against our country, our morals, our families, etc. And then you and the president and others getting attacked with this outrage and this hate. So if you would, allow me to pray.
Thank you.
If you'd all who want to, please join me, bow our heads and pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we are thankful for our country. We are thankful that God does bless America, and that God is the source of all goodness, love, and provision, and that you, Lord God, have provided a great nation with a great history. And although we've gone through many rough times, you're still very present and active with us. Thank you for protecting President Trump from that fatal attack. And we ask that you envelop and protect all of those who are fighting for justice, for freedom, for order, for dignity, and to reward people according to merit, and especially put your hedge of protection around Elon Musk, around his children, around his whole entire family, and all of his team members, that all would do good and just by our country, and freedom truly and justice would reign once again. We ask this in the name of the blessed Savior, Jesus Christ, who we remember during this time of year, who suffered and died for our sins. May you wash away all that is wrong with our country and start with us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Wow. And what struck me about that wasn't just the fact of the prayer. What struck me about it is something we've been, almost like, I heard from our pastor about the revival happening around America. Elon Musk is speaking at this event. And this kid, younger gentleman who spoke, brings his dad with him. And he and Dad go to this speech with Elon. And Dad happens to be a pastor. Like, let's go, son. That's what we need. We need more adults with kids. And it's like, hey, let's go. We need to get back together. We need to grab someone and say, listen. I don't know who grabbed who. I don't know if Dad grabbed the son or they both together mutually, like, we got to go do something. But they got off their duff. They went and did something on a Sunday afternoon. They felt that compelled. And then Dad leads them in prayer, which had to have shocked Elon. Like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Thank you. Love that. Love that. And there's so many people out there who have lost their way, and just hearing what that pastor said, he didn't say Republican or Democrat. He goes, the country. We as a country have lost our way. Up is good. Good is bad. Boy is girl. Girl is boy. What in the hell are we talking about? People walking around in dog mask. Come on. Something's wrong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry? Up to you. You can hang out if you want. Well, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. It's, I think we're going to need divine protection, frankly.
Yeah. Hey, Elon, I'd like to start off by thanking you for all that you've done for our country and the world as a greater whole. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart as well. I have a question for you. As you go about your decision making at Doge, how are you able to keep your moral North Star and not set precedents when it comes to overstepping democratic processes simply because the end justifies the means, and have outcomes similar to the last election with Democratic presidential candidate being appointed without due process that just further polarizes the country? Also,
a kid, another kid. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've never been to Wisconsin. And I'm thinking to myself, what dropped into Wisconsin that all these young people decided to come and talk to Elon Musk? Simply amazing.
On a side note, one more thing. Do you see a place in the long term for decentralized technology in society and government?
Yeah, I mean, to answer the second question first, I think generally it's good to have decentralized systems because the more centralized something is, the more power that is in any one single entity, the more corruption you're likely to have. So decentralization, I think, is good to minimize corruption. Then with respect to Doge, I mean, as I said, we're trying to be as literal as possible. It's the Department of Government Efficiency, and it's just literally going through and saying, okay, this money was spent. Is it money that most Americans would agree is sensible, or is it not? If it doesn't seem sensible, then we, say, well, we shouldn't spend that money anymore. We should stop it. So, and then we post we try to be as transparent as possible. So all the Doge actions are posted on the Doge.gov website and on the Doge handle on X. So if people disagree with something, we can say, well, which part do you disagree with? When I get these sort of attacks of like, oh, it's unconstitutional, I'm like, well, which expenditure is unconstitutional that we have stopped? And then they don't know, actually, because they haven't actually looked at anything. So now, obviously, a lot of this can be reversed with a new administration, but at least for some period of time, we're going to make sure that your taxpayer money is spent at least 15% better. It's not like I think it's a reasonable goal, it's a rational goal, it's a sensible goal, and the net result, I should say, if we have the combination of a $1 trillion increase in an economic output and a $1 trillion decrease in the budget deficit, then the outcome should be that there is no inflation or very little inflation from one year to the next. So at the end of next year, the prices will be at the grocery store will be very similar to what they are right now, which means that standard of living will actually probably be higher, a little bit higher. Whereas we've had rampant inflation to date, and inflation is really just a pernicious tax that has been used by governments throughout history. And it's very tempting for governments to use inflation as a tax because it's indirect. People see the prices rising at the grocery store or for goods and services or for houses, and they tend to blame the store, but it's not the store, it's the government. The government has reduced the value of money, and as a result, prices rise. So by by reducing waste and fraud, we'll essentially make the economy more efficient, and we'll shift people resources from the government to the private sector. And that
there's another one for you. That wheel there is something they don't like. Wait. We're going to shift things away from the government into the private sector. That's the antithesis of communist, socialist, and Marxist stuff. Wait, you're taking away government power? Oh, we can't have that. There's no way we can do that. So you're telling me you're out here trying to, raise prosperity for people, have them have more money, more freedom. All of this is against everything they stand for. Ask any Democrat, hey, what are you going to do to reduce my taxes? Well, the first question they'll say is how much you make. No. Everybody's taxes should go down. Nope, won't say it. Hey, everybody's food sources will go down. You know why they don't care about food sources? Because the poor people don't have to pay for the food. See, the people who they're getting to vote all have SNAP benefits and everything else, so they don't feel the impact. instead of saying all America, you people who need the benefits, providing, you deserve them, and the rest of everybody else who's working hard don't have to work 3 or 4 months to pay off taxes. Why is that a bad thing?
Will result in an increase in the output of goods and services, and so the average standard of living will therefore rise. So, they're trying to make economics sound very complicated, but it's really not that complicated. The standard of living increases when the output of goods, average output of goods and services increases per person. There's basically more stuff, therefore you have more stuff to divide across the people. That's it. You can run this sort of thought experiment and say, if there was 100 people on an island, and you'd say, well, how many people do you want farming, fishing, making stuff, versus, doing regulations? You would say, no, you wouldn't want 20 people doing regulations, You'd be like, oh, that's too many.
I'm going to tell you something really freaky about the show Survivor. If you ever watch Survivor, there's a couple things I've pointed out once before, is nobody's out there doing all the fishing. Who's getting the food? Because the collective, which is almost, Marxist, the collective all wants to stay in the same place. Let's eat the rice, let's figure out what we can do, and nobody really gets better than the other person. You ever notice in Survivor, this is very interesting, they never like somebody venturing out on their own to look for the idol. And I'm like, that's why I'm going there. I'm going there to win $1 million. And I'm going to do every single waking moment. I'm going to be digging in any piece of grass and tree. But the other people don't want you getting the idol. You need to stay here. Where'd she go? Oh, is she going out there looking for an idol? Yeah, that's why she's here. But if you watch the show, you have seen over seasons, which is why I don't watch it as much anymore, because it's so monotonous. And I'm like, we're the winners. We're the people who say, I'm going for the gusto. I've trained. I've gotten myself ready. I know how to fish. I'm going to eat. I'm not sitting here on this island eating bugs and rice, trying to figure out, I don't have enough strength. Oh my God, I'm going to start crying. No, we got to eat. We're going to have a luau. We're going to go out there and we're going to catch fish. We're going to break coconuts. We're going to get pineapple. We're going to eat. We're fine here. Never happens. They put losers on that show for the most part. People who don't think that way. Hey, why are they out there looking for the idol? Because they want to win. You see, it's almost like a mirror, a microcosm of society. There are so many people already just don't do anything that's not like what they're doing. Let's all stay in this together. We don't need anything. We're all just going to be, starving together, and government will feed us. Government will give us our rice. That's all we need. You just need this rice. But you don't know how to make fire. You didn't learn that, huh? You didn't learn that fire was an asset. I'm so cold. Make a flipping fire. Nope. Never learned it. Never learned how to get ahead. You were taught to stay in the hive. And I'm thinking, as I'm watching it just 2 nights ago, I'm like, Robin, this is what's going on in the Democrat Party. Don't make waves. Do what everybody else is doing. Don't try to get ahead. And if you watch the show, you're going to say, oh, that's right, man. Why aren't they eating? I don't know. Why are they not? It's a big ocean. It's full of fish. Don't put Robin on that island. She'd come back with a whole bag of fish, which kind of reminds me of the story, right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, and maybe one or two. I don't know. Maybe none. Ideally 0. I'm all for small government. By the way, I think really, yeah. When the United States was formed, there were only you had the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, which I think is a more accurate name than Defense, but it was Secretary of War for a long time, and you had the Secretary of the Treasury, and you had the Attorney General. That was it. And if it were entirely up to me, I'd be like, let's make it like that again. Yeah.
Howdy, gentlemen. Got a quick question regarding government and transparency. Do you think Dogecoin may ever be used, or the Dogecoin blockchain to be used for maximum transparency?
Well, the names are similar, but they're doing two very different things. In fact, I was going to call it like the Government Efficiency Commission, but that's a super boring name. And then the internet said, no, it needs to be called the Department of Government Efficiency. I was like, well, the internet is right. So we changed the name from Government Efficiency Commission to Department of Government Efficiency. But there are no plans for the government to use Dogecoin or anything, as far as I know. So that they happen to be similar names, but really we're just literally trying to make the government 15% more efficient. It's kind of like most of the work that's being done it's kind of like homework. It's not like it's just work, you know. Frankly, it's like washing the dishes. It's not like, you know, it's a lot of it's not super fun work. It's just, you know, going through and looking at every expense and saying, why does this department have like 10 times more software licenses than people? That doesn't make sense. You know, why is the government spending $10 million a year on Politico subscriptions? That doesn't make sense. You know, like there's just one thing after another like that. It's like things that are just kind of boring. So it's like a ton of boring stuff. Like you do hear about like the sort of weird stuff that makes the headlines, but most of the costs that are being cut are just very basic, boring things. It's like homework at scale is what I'd call the Department of Government Efficiency.
Elon, can I add something?
Yeah,
this question about transparency.
I'm really selling it here.
Yeah, no.
Antonio's about to drop some science here about transparency at scale, which I love what he's doing here. But I had to address a comment here because it's cracking me up. Barry is on SNAP. Are you talking Barry's on SNAP benefits? I find that to be very funny because oh boy, I think SB is going to have fun with you.
I would say the principles that Elon has set out for Doge they begin with truth. Truth. Find the truth. Number one, find the truth. Why? The government's gotten so big that actually the people don't even know what's there. Yeah. They don't know the source of truth. So these licenses, it's not like people bought these licenses because they're bad people and they wanted to pay Microsoft. They just kept buying licenses because Microsoft gets selling them. I mean, it's that strange.
Yeah, and we don't want to pick on Microsoft. It's like every software company, by the way.
Any software company. Pick software company X. They bought these licenses because they just thought they should buy more licenses. More people coming in and there's no one there. People aren't coming back to the office, right? It's just finding truth. The number one principle is truth. And then transparency is number two, I think, on the list, right? So find the truth, make it public, make it transparent. And number three is, man, do it fast, make it efficient, and be urgent.
Yeah.
Those are the principles that Elon's put in the Doge.
Yeah, if you've ever been in business, your own business, what do they tell you? What's the big thing they tell you? Hire slow, fire fast. Hire slow, fire fast. Take your time, find the right people. When you got someone who doesn't belong, get rid of them very quickly. So you're listening to two billionaire businessmen talk, and they're giving you ideas. They're giving you the roadmap on how to be successful. Hire slow, fire fast. Be transparent. Get it done. And it's so matter of fact when you listen to people like this. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good one. Oh, yeah. Look, continue.
It's worth pointing out, it's actually difficult you have to recalibrate how dumb things can be because it's the government. You know, frankly, it's like dumber than you think it could possibly be. Like for example, we found there were a whole bunch of what I call ghost payments going out, where the government contracting officer had retired or changed jobs or was dead or I don't know, they were not around anymore, and they forgot to turn off the payment stream to some company. And it's like leaving the money faucet on and you leave the house, and it's just the money faucet keeps going. And it's a pretty rare organization that will complain about receiving money. So organizations, so then you're like, is that waste or fraud? I mean, the government did send them the money, but they didn't deserve it. So then, well, okay, we should turn off the money spigot if the contract is over, type of thing. So one of the things that we made a recommendation to the Treasury that the payment classification codes and the explanation for the payment be mandatory fields. Just have a name attached. So we could just ask the person who approved the payment, is this payment a good payment? Does this make sense? This is the kind of thing that is normal in, for individuals and for companies, but that was not the case. So the reason why the government could not pass an audit was because the information did not exist that would be required to pass an audit. Like, it was literally impossible because you just had all these blank checks going out with no explanation and no payment code. So how are you supposed to...
Pay everybody. It's not our money. We don't care. Just keep paying everybody. Something else he said just struck me. It's like they were still paying on contracts that have been completed. It's like you bought a new roof. You paid 20 grand for the new roof, but you kept paying them 20 grand every month. Because it's not your money. You're in the government. And the invoice would just keep going. We're just going to keep paying. Hey, we're going to buy 5,000 seats in Microsoft Windows, but we don't have 5,000 people working. All right, just keep paying it.
Audit. It's literally impossible. So that's what I mean by, like, it's very basic stuff. Like, we just want the congressional appropriation payment code to be mandatory and a very short explanation. We're not even going to judge what the explanation is, but that there be any explanation at all and a name attached was revolutionary. And my guess is this will probably save $100 billion a year, like a lot, So
maybe I can tell a little story from Social Security Administration that people might like to hear too, which is
sorry.
At Social Security Administration, they have passed their audit, actually. They've got, I don't know, about 100 material deficiency, but they passed their audit. When we looked at the balance sheet...
Okay, listen to this about the Social Security Administration. Every single day they're crying about, Elon's taking money from Social Security. He's going to steal money from Social Security. Okay, just listen.
We found that $800 million had fallen off the balance sheet last year. $800 million.
What do you mean it fell off the balance sheet?
It's exactly the question I asked, Elon. Thank you.
Where did it fall to?
My friend. Exactly. Where did it fall to? So I asked the auditors to come in.
It's like a comedy sketch.
Exactly.
A comedy routine here.
Where did it go? Exactly.
But wait, where did it go?
Exactly. So here's what happened. I asked the auditors to come in. I won't give the name of the auditors. Come on in. And I asked the audit partner myself, what does fell off the balance sheet mean? Is that a gap term or non-gap term? I've been doing
never heard that.
What does it mean? Well, the payment plans, because under the last administration, you could pay if you got overpaid on Social Security, like if you were getting SSI or a disability and they paid you too much money, you got a job, I didn't tell them, they paid you too much money, they dropped that payment plan to $10 a month max. So the payment plans went out past the system date. So if I remember correctly, it was 2047. Payment plans out past system date. When it went past the system date, literally, it fell off the system.
Okay.
It disappeared. And the officers were supposed to, the technicians were supposed to put notes in the system that this was going to be collected. The notes were so bad, the auditors concluded this could not be collected, and we literally lost $800 million. Gone. Okay. And I said to the auditor, how could that possibly be? And she said, well, it's not really material. It's a $1.5 trillion program. I said, well, it's material if it's your money.
Is it in the computer?
That's just it. I don't care we lost $800 million. Why? It's immaterial, meaning it doesn't matter. It matters if it was yours. That's the people who have been running this government. Like, these two guys who are billionaires, like, what? What do you mean it just fell off our balance sheet? How are you not counting it anymore? They just make stuff up. It's not ours. Sorry. That's who's been running our government for decades. Remember, these guys are just looking now. So when you hear all this, you have to wonder, what's been going on for 10, 20 years? And on and on. Kind of makes you freak out and think, wow, man, I go to work every single day. I've been a good citizen. I have paid my taxes every single year, dutifully, even though it pained me, even though it hurt. I've been paying my taxes every single year, non-stop. Nobody can stop me. It's American. It's my duty. I have to pay taxes. And then you find out this stuff this year. And so you sit back and go, oh my God, so I paid. I mean, just think to yourself, over the last 15 years, how much you've paid in taxes. It makes you want to cry to know what's been done with the money, because the exponential basis of this is something that really can get people really upset. When you start thinking to yourself, man, what have we been doing? And if it weren't for Donald Trump bringing on Elon Musk, we'd never know. Life as you know would just continue with you writing a check every April 15th or getting your refund, and it doesn't change. All right, let me take a second here. Let me tell you a little bit more about the Trump knives. The Trump knives, I love them, love them, love them, love them. I love it myself. We use it. This just isn't a prop for an ad. Folks, Trump is finally back in office, and it's only going to get better from here, especially with the Doge boys. As a celebration, Patriot Addict is sending our free Trump red knives to people who voted for Trump. Just scan the QR code over here. Just all you got to scan to get yours now. This is just their way of saying thank you for supporting him and being a part of this moment in history. Normally, this knife retails for $70. But you can grab it just for the cost of shipping, which I believe is $13.99. Scan the QR code over here to apply your 100% off coupon and claim your Trump knife today before they're all gone. This is a nice knife. Again, you can see the size of it. It's not a small knife. I've got very big hands, and you know what that means. But right there's a knife. It's it's solid. It is not flimsy. It's balanced. It's got some weight to it. Many people in the comments will tell you they've gotten theirs. And it's got a thing where you can basically cut off the seatbelt, and then it's got a window pokey inner thingy. I don't know what you call it. I just call it window pokey inner thing. But the guys at Patriot Addict have been great in terms of working with us on this channel, and I support them. And I wouldn't have if I didn't receive the knife myself to know that it was a good quality knife. So please, if you'd like it, go ahead and take a look at that knife. So we got about 3 minutes left of Elon, then we're going to take some comments.
It fell off the computer.
Is it in the computer, like Zoolander, you know? It's in the computer.
Disappeared. $800 million just disappeared.
I mean, it's crazy. So there's it's one nutty thing after another like that. I mean,
it's crazy.
Anyway, we're just trying to basically fix the computers so that we know what the heck's going on. It's like, please. And you know, like I said, being fully transparent with the American people, so you know exactly what's going on, and just making sure that anyway, money is not wasteful or fraudulent. One interesting statistic was that 40% of the calls into Social Security were fraudulent. Like meaning that it was someone trying to get.
Now this here is very, very, very important. Especially for those of you who are on Social Security, those of you who have heard the media talk about, oh my God, they're going to take away Social Security. They're not going to. This defines why the media is lying to you. Just listen to this. We got about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'm not even going to stop. I want you to hear every second of what these guys say in this 2 minutes about why the media is lying to you about Social Security. You're going to love this.
A Social Security payment that was going to a senior to go to instead to go to a fraud ring. So that was almost half of the phone calls were fraudulent. And probably the other half were people asking, what happened to my Social Security?
This is true, actually.
Like, hey, where did this is bananas.
Yeah, I mean, we found this, actually. The people there at Social Security knew this was going on, and they had been complaining about it for a long time, and no one fixed it. And these were mostly criminal rings outside the country, in other places in the world that are jamming up the phone systems, calling in, using just these six simple security questions, because you can actually, this was how crazy it was, you could change your direct deposit information at Social Security by simply answering 6 questions on the phone, like your mother's maiden name, your date of birth, etc.
Like stuff you can find on the internet.
Easily found on the dark web. That's why it was so easy. It was a huge, huge exploitation, super open door. I mean, the bank vault was open, and the criminals ran right in and took the money, and they took it away from our seniors, right? So what happened is, if like my dad's 84, he'd go get it, thought his check was supposed to be in the bank account, wasn't there, then he's got to go through a whole process to get the money back from the government, which takes a long time. It's the government, right? So we put in a very simple 2FA system. All this nonsense you see in the media about, we turned off the phone lines, whatever, not true. All they did actually, we recommended to Social Security that they put in a very simple 2FA system, and they will...
Two-factor authentication.
Excuse me, two-factor authentication. They say kind of use the banks. Like, pretty simple. If you have a bank account, you do this. And you know what? They did it. They said, yeah, you're right, we should do that. They went and did it. Good for them. They did it. No one had the will to do it. They did it. And they're going to keep increasing security. We've given them a lot more recommendations, and they're on the road to increase security, stop all this nonsense, so our seniors and our people that are disabled don't get stolen from.
Yeah, this is really worth emphasizing, because like the radical left are saying that like somehow we're stealing Social Security. Like, first of all, I don't need the money. Okay.
I don't need the money. What do you mean I'm stealing little Emma's, Auntie M's secret Social Security money? You realize I got like 300 billion, right? So I'm going to go to jail for stealing someone's $1,200 check. Whew, these people are nuts. Absolutely nuts. So I wanted to explain to you TFA, two-factor authentication. Maybe a lot of people who are older don't understand it. It's something new, this newfangled thing. But two-factor authentication makes you have to put in X data and Y data to confirm that it's you. If you ever been on an account anywhere and you put in your password and it says, oh, we need that second factor, we're going to text you on your phone number to prove it's you. Many of you have seen that. It's very commonplace, 2FA. You just, I'm going to log in. Oh, okay, I'm logging in from a different device. It wants to know can I text you at home to confirm it's you? Sure. And then you get the text and it's got a code, 123456. Please enter this code, 123456. Hey, Barry, how you doing? It knows it's you. But that step is something people didn't know about. They rolled it out. Not Elon, not Antonio. Social Security rolled it out based upon their advice. It's going to cut down on fraud. People aren't going to be able to scam as much. They're going to have that TFA, two-factor authentication. You want that. I know people are always trying to hack into my YouTube account. Constantly. I get emails from Google. Hey, click in here. Boom. All right, we need to verify it's you. Do you want a phone call or do you want a text? You can go ahead and text me. And then I got to make sure I got the right phone number on here. And all of a sudden it'll come up. Please enter this number on the screen. And then sometimes Google will say, we need another layer. Please give us the code. Log into your Google account and then give us the code we sent you. Those are good things. The media tries to make it out like, no, they're doing bad things. You're not going to get your money. No, they're protecting you. See, those of us who have been on the internet for some time, 2FA, two-factor authentication, is something we've lived with for a long time. It astounds me. I've never collected Social Security, so I didn't know that something that minimal wasn't put in place by Social Security. So then you have to ask yourself, with an agency that sends out $1 gazillion, how the hell did they not have 2FA? Oh, well, they didn't want to. You see, it made it easy for people to steal. It's very simple. Hey, what's your mom's maiden name? What's your dog's name? Where'd you used to live? Most people have very simple passwords. And asking 5 or 6 questions or going online, you're going to find out that a combination of the password, that they may have their first kid and their second kid and the make of the car, Mustang 152. And you're in. And these people can run these things until they find out which one it is, because you don't have TFA. You don't have that second two-factor authentication. Hey, I just logged in, but the system says, we're not sure. So in order for you to really make sure it's you, we're going to text you something. And so if the scammer doesn't, God forbid, the scammer doesn't have your phone, then they can't get the text and they're done. So the media is trying to tell you that they're trying to make it harder for you to get into the system, but they're not explaining anything to you. It's insane.
In fact, it's costing me a lot to be in this job. You had like Tim Walz dancing on stage showing a chart of Tesla stock, which is a really awful thing for him to do. Because what they're trying to do is put massive pressure on me and Tesla, I guess, to I don't know, stop doing this. It's my Tesla stock and the stock of everyone who holds Tesla went roughly in half. I mean, it's a big deal. So not only am I not getting I'm not getting paid, definitely not stealing money, and would never get away with it. But the value of my Tesla stock is in half. So this is a very expensive job, is what I'm saying.
I want you to imagine if we didn't have people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk doing this. People who were somewhat impervious to what the deep state did to them. If it was anybody else, you would have succumbed. You wouldn't have got through all those conviction lawsuits. You wouldn't have had the money to do it. If it was anybody else, you wouldn't have 300 billion cut into 190 billion and be able to withstand that. If it was you or me, we would have had to wave the white flag and do what they wanted. So many people got put in jail, got destroyed, because that's their modus operandi. That's what they do. And what they did this time, they run up against a couple of people who are basically have FU money. You can take me on to a point, but I'm still going to stand, which means that's why they escalate it to the violent part of things. Because when you can't do all the stuff you usually do, what do? We got to take them out. And that's why Elon's got all these death threats. That's why Trump has all these death threats. Because once you get to a point where none of the other stuff is working, none of it, what do? Well, none of it worked. We got to take them out. And so these two people, it's not that they're stealing. It's not that they're Nazis. It's not that they're fascists. They're impervious. All of your weapons at this point are falling. And in addition to that, I don't know, you've got so many people praying for these guys too. I think that's a big part of everything we're seeing. These people are preyed upon. P-R-A-Y, not P-R-E-Y. They are preyed on. People at Mass yesterday. And it was funny because it was non-denominational. Our pastor, you don't want to piss anybody off. He goes, I just pray for America. I pray for the government. I pray that the right decisions are made. It's not a bad prayer. The left ain't praying it. Let you know they're not praying it. They're too busy. It's funny, I haven't even heard much about baby removal lately, huh? Because they're terrified of everything else that's going on. So this show went a little bit longer because I wanted to make sure I talked about this video, but it was necessary. Wow. Charles Williams, this is the best show ever posted here. Hope you wake some minds up today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Maximus, I've been seeing some of the comments, and you said, I would love to take you out and ride along so you could see how crazy things are out there. I hear from a number of law enforcement officers in different kind of departments. Many of them even text me, and they're like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, people don't see it. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and the media won't report on it. Let's see here. Let me see if there's any other comments here. Is it too late? I mentioned that. Yeah, okay, so let me take a few other comments here. Can we have JJ on for prayer night? Okay, yeah, I got to get that going again, too. We need it. We definitely need it. Yes, I pray for them both 2 times a day and our nation. Exactly. The left got hit so many angles that they're drowning. Yeah, that's big. Normally they fight in one dimension, and most of the politicians they have fought against were basically one-dimensional. And if they knew something or if they had some dossier on them, they could make them acquiesce. And now you're running up against guys who just, no, everything you possibly could have unearthed about Trump has been unearthed. So you got nothing left on him. Elon, they're getting to the point where they got nothing left on him either. Nazi, fascist, racist. Yeah, you're boring me. You're absolutely boring me with that stuff. So that kind of stuff just doesn't go anywhere with me right now. Those of you guys who want to join us over on X, take a listen here. Hey, if you'd like to join 15,000 plus fellow patriots on X in our private X/Twitter group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. Just put in that URL in your browser. It'll take you right to our private group on X. Love to see you there. Let's share some content. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, or rather if you'd like to enter to win a hoodie, go to fanfareshop.org, fanfareshop.org, and register to win a Trump hoodie.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so let me get to the super chats real quick. And again, I just want to say, I'm not looking to offend anybody. I talk very directly, like I've said many times. If you were sitting next to me in a restaurant and we struck up a conversation, this is me. This is who I am. And I'm not looking to put on airs or fake or anything like that. In fact, sometimes Robin and Rashi tell me, like, back it down. People ain't ready for this. All right. Woosa, back it down. I just get really emotional. So sometimes it just comes out that way. I'm sorry. Not sorry anymore. All right, so let me zoom in here so you guys can see this. There we go. Okay, and we still have it in here. Move. Okay. How do I get back to the top? Oh, every time I zoom in, I lose that person's information, the first person. All right. Daylight. Thank you very, very much. Hold on. Let me move this up here. Greg Barth, please, Barry, tell people if they're on Social Security, they are fine. Don't plug up the phones. The media has created another nightmare. Yep. Yeah. I fully believe that. Fazul, Father bless Barry and crew. Thank you very, very much. Gene, Barry, you created a thriving channel. Stop worrying about the 1% that complain about everything. You like rock, play rock, cuss if you need be. Let it out. Be you. I appreciate that because sometimes I do feel like, yeah. Job for 9, we need to get it into law, take away the 45 days. Okay, he's talking about when Chris Josephs was talking that these people can make trades, but you don't get them revealed for 45 days. Barry, have you heard anything about the chemtrail task force? No, I have not. And believe me, Robin is all over chemtrail stuff. Mr. Anderson, don't ever let someone tell you what you can do. Bingo. Especially someone who hasn't done it. That was the other thing when I was talking before about, listen to people who don't take advice from people who haven't actually done it. Like me personally, I've never gone hunting. Well, I went, I went, but I didn't do anything. But people who hunt and they know how to hunt, they're going to tell you what to do. Someone who doesn't hunt, not me. I can't track or anything like that. So, hey, you're exactly right. Don't listen to people who tell you what you can't do, especially people who haven't done it. Thank you, great alternative Fox and Newsmax. I appreciate that. Demon of Cybertron, the people who didn't know some babies were already born with bad credit due to Social Security fraud, and who found out? Yes, Doge. Imagine that. 1 year old, your credit's toast. Nori Cat says she's beyond PO'd. Danny Robinson, great interview today with Chris Josephs. I bet. Thank you very much for that. I mean, like I said, I saw what he was doing. I saw the Tucker. I didn't watch the whole hour that he was on with Tucker. You need to check that out. Robert Husbands. So now this is all known. What is being done? What can I do? All right. What you can do, let's talk about that first. You can publicize it. You can let people know what you've heard, and then let them do the work and find out. In terms of what's being done, I'm sure legally things are being looked into. Chapo, thank you for clipping these stories so we can share them on Facebook. I have a lot of people who have started watching the show from it. Well, thank you. I'll be clipping this probably tonight or tomorrow. Wow. James Grace, I bought 10 knives. The shipping was cheaper. Good point. Good point. Pete, wow, as a South African, I am so proud of that Boche. We need him to come do all that here in South Africa. I wish I knew what that meant. Why is this happening? We kicked God out. Good point. Good point there. Robert Gardner, that was a great show. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to put on the after party. Not sure what time tonight. Hopefully the normal time at 7. I haven't seen anything about Trump's executive orders, so we may have a couple videos for you tonight to take a look at. And so I will do something. I just don't know what time it is yet. And then we'll go ahead. So you guys got the after party coming up. You guys can hang out, have some fun, talk to each other, both on Rumble, and it's hard on YouTube. I understand. Let me apologize. Not YouTube, on X. X still has a problem where people aren't allowed to, I don't know, for whatever reason, chat unless they've paid for it. You got to pay for the what do you call it? The privilege of chatting on Twitter. But that's something that Elon put in place. He tried to, let his network make some money. It is what it is. Thank you, Barry, and all those behind the scenes and the faithful Fanfare family. Yeah, SV, Roaring Rage, Severo, the mods were working hard today, especially Ashley's on vacation with the kids, so she couldn't make it in. I don't think she's been in here. Beth, thank you. Beth, I don't know if they've given us a specific URL for everything yet. Scott says, I love what you're doing, Barry. Keep giving us the truth. Maximus, bro, thank you, and I'm sorry to hear about everything. That's tough. I mean, I guess you shared it, so we could probably just mention that real quick. Let me just tell you, Maximus is a law enforcement officer, and hold on, let me just go back here. Wait a minute. Where is it? It says, greeting, Maximus. Thank you for your service. He says one of his guys. I guess he here it is right here. Just want to give someone a heads up. One of the people he picked up today kicked out the back window of one of our units, and I don't know if somebody got hurt or what. But man, being a cop's a tough job. Tough job. It's not an easy thing, and things can happen out of nowhere, absolutely out of nowhere, and so I feel bad for everybody. Let's see here. Oh, they got a new one for me. What's this here? Hold on. Okay, let me tell you about this real quick. I forgot to. Some of you guys know. Okay. Breaking news. Free Trump collectibles issued to all supporters. I don't get tired of talking about these guys because they got good stuff. Because of the amazing feedback on the Trump knives, Patriot Addict has decided to come with something even crazier for a limited time. Only they're giving away their best-selling Trump mystery boxes for absolutely free. No hidden charges, no recurring fees. None of that BS, just cover the small shipping charge. Imagine unpacking Trump knives, which, again, awesome knife. Trump knives and who knows what else. Patriot Addict is doing this because they want to show their support for Trump in these tough times, and this also helps them clear out space in the warehouse. And this offer is only valid for Barry Cunningham viewers, that's me, and Patriot Addict would not want you to miss it. Now, I want to show you something. This is one of the things that comes in the box. And so in addition to the knives, you got all kinds of stuff here. This is pretty cool. I haven't even taken this out yet. Hold on. So we're going to do an unboxing real quick here. And this came the other day, and I was like, I haven't even unboxed it yet. Check this out. All right, so I'm gonna unfold it. and make sure I got it right side up. The banner. Oh, this is going to be flying. This will be flying outside the house. I'm going to have to go back so you guys can see it all. Let's see. Oops, go back this way. Let's see. Let me look on the monitor. There we go. Hold on. I'm going to go backwards so you can get all that. Look at that. Look at that. Hold on. I'm way back here so you guys can see it. And it looks like this. And it looks like that. I'm moving in my chair so you guys can see this thing. And that's the bottom of it. But anyway, it's pretty big. It's really pretty big. And it's got all the grommets on it. I see people flying these when they're driving their cars all over the place. So that's gonna be something. We're gonna be putting that up here. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You gotta admit it. All right, so just scan the QR code right there. Again, or just go to berrybox.com. Either one. Enjoy that. All right, so that's pretty good. Let's see here. Maximum. Oh, you have a black one. Very cool banner. Was it Dragnet? Oh wow. Okay. All right, everybody. After party's coming up next, and then I'll see you tonight sometime. Thanks for tuning in. I knew this was a long one, but I had to do it.